Peace, peace, peace. Shout out to everybody in the building. Peace, we about to get started. Peace, peace, peace. Shout out to Justin March, my first moderator, for coming through with gifting 5 memberships. Family, if Justin March gifted you a membership, make sure you thank him and you keep it going. I didn't see. I saw it. I covered the issue, but I don't know nothing about this update about the someone had a digital receipt about the mother having a digital receipt. I don't know nothing about that, but we definitely covered that yesterday, where the child was he was unalive, unfortunately. Shout out to Miss C Payne in the building. Shout out to Visionary in the building. You already know red, black, and green. BYB. Shout out to Lord of Slaughter in the building. You already know red, black, and green. BYB. Who knows where they at? Who knows? Yep. $3 billion surrendered. And he surrendered. He surrendered. Like, Trump is a bozo. But yeah, let's get started. Because again, I made a mistake and started late again. I said I wasn't going to do that. I did it again. But Leah, let's get started. Matter of fact, let's get started with Trump. Let's get started with Surrender Trump. Family, make sure y'all supporting the stream any way y'all can. Yeah, let's get started with this. Can y'all see my screen? Am I coming in good? All right, good. Let's get started with Surrender Trump. Support the stream any way you can.
Breakthrough that's not been a breakthrough because it's the same exact position again that Iran has taken for a half century.
Yeah, and we've seen this pattern, as Mika pointed out. This is what the president does. He threatened these massive strikes yesterday and then backed down a couple of hours later because he said the threat of the strikes brought Iran to the table. We now have a deal. He's been talking about a signing ceremony with Vice President J.D. Vance this weekend in Europe, to which Iran says, not so fast, we don't have a deal. And I would add also, Mika, Israel said, we are unaware of any deal being brokered between the United States and Iran.
Yeah, but you know,
that's a problem.
The thing is, though, John Lemire, how many times has this been? I read this morning that CNN had a banner last night that said something like, this is the 39th time Donald Trump has said peace is at hand. I mean, it just would exhaust even Neville Chamberlain talking about peace
pretty exhausted.
Being at hand and peace not being at hand. But again, it's at least happened 36 times. And my question is this, especially given what everybody.
Shout out to Miss C Payne for coming through with the 1999. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. But yeah, Trump keeps saying that there's peace at hand. He won, and it's always a lie. Like what's going on here? I know what's going on here. Trump is a bozo. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he just weakened America's position in the world and made things more expensive for the American people for no reason. But, Trump said he didn't care. So, yeah, let's keep going.
He knows about Iran, what we certainly have known about Iran since 1979, the more desperate any president seems for a deal, the more a president goes out and says, hey, we're very close to a deal, and allows the Iranians to say, no, we're not. We haven't seen it. We're not sure how close we are. We don't know if we even want this deal. It seems to just undermine the president. So is this about the markets? I know certainly a lot of people make a ton of money betting, shorting markets that somehow have information right before the president's going to say it. What's going on? Why does he keep doing this 36, 37, 38, 39 times?
Yeah, a theme of this entire second term for President Trump is he likes to boast about how many wars he's ended. Well, he's done this one 39 times, the same one. There is a sense here of a few things that, yeah, undoubtedly, there have been moments where people have made some money off of his proclamations, most of them timed to just before the markets open. That was not the case for this one. I think this one is just more of just his desperation to get out of this, that he's trying to almost will it in existence. And as you and Willie just ran through, not only is Iran saying no, but Israel's also saying we don't know anything about this, that we're not sure this is a real thing. And that, I think, is the key here, is that Trump, we know he's looking for an off-ramp. He knows he wants to put this war behind him. He's well aware, even though he won't say it publicly, he is well aware, per reporting, that it did not go as they hoped it would. And he is trying to get the page turned. But you're right, Iran sort of makes habit out of humiliating American presidents. We have seen it over the decades. And this is a case where no doubt their economy is hurting. No doubt that there will be things they will need at some point to end this or to bring some sort of ceasefire here. But they're willing to tweak the president a little bit more, and they're going to come out of this.
Yeah, this is a total humiliation for America. Total humiliation. Yeah, this is a bigger humiliation than I ever seen before. This is crazy. You started a war with Iran for no reason, just to get back, trying to get back to zero. You're not even getting back to zero because we don't even know if you're even going to get a deal as good as Barack Obama had. On top of that, you got to pay Iran $300 billion, and you got to lift all sanctions. And they allow, if I'm not mistaken, they allowed to put tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. So now ships got to pay Iran just to go through when they never had to pay to go through. Plus insurance claims for ships are going to be through the roof. As far as premium on insurance to insure a ship is going to be through the roof. It's going to get passed on to the consumer. This was a total waste of time. It's a waste of time. You killed a bunch of people. You shot up a bunch of missiles. You made a fool of America. You made things more expensive, and they're going to only get more expensive, and nothing was accomplished. Nothing was accomplished. This is what I said was going to happen, and people said Kamala Harris would have did this too. There's no universe Kamala Harris would have ever did something as stupid and as lame as what Trump just did just now. And he might not even be able to do it because Israel might not let him do it. Because a part of the deal is also Israel has to leave Lebanon, and Israel might not leave Lebanon.
Stronger than the war began. Hardliners are empowered, Joe and Mika, and of course, they have shown they can close the Strait of Hormuz, and suddenly, forget the nukes, that is their biggest weapon, the economic weapon they have to shutting that vital waterway.
Which is exactly what everybody's warned about since 1979. If you go into Iran, then Iran can shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And as Mika's own father said in 2012 to Charlie Rose in an interview, they can't win a war against us, but they can shut down the strait and set the world economy on fire. That's exactly what's been going on. But again, I just want to underline the president's a stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. A couple of days ago, it was very obvious that negotiations weren't working. So the president then talked about doing some military strikes. It lasted a day. The Iranians unmoved. And so the president said, we're going to do it again the next day, pulls back. Again, that stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. That's exactly what the Iranians want. They believe it shows weakness. That's what the Wall Street Journal editorial page was saying yesterday. So again, it is confounding, not only to those of us.
No. It does show weakness. It's not like, it may show weakness. It shows weakness. It shows weakness. Everybody is worse off because of this. Everyone.
In the United States, but certainly confounding to people on Capitol Hill, confounding to people across Europe, confounding to people actually in Iran who, again, see that as weakness.
It's a pattern that's very bad for the president.
Exactly, Justin March. All this because of people who hated Barack Obama. I see the consequence of this war as a form of BBC aside. It's a form of BBC side. BBC aside. It gotta be. Y'all so meat watching Barack Obama. Y'all hate him so much that y'all just crashed out and put Trump in, and you just know Trump is gonna lead to the end of us all. Because you hated Barack Obama so much. This is a form of BBC aside, man. It's a form of BBC aside.
President politically, because unlike maybe a lot of members of the Republican Party or some members of the media where the president can say something and sort of wave a wand and others will it. Yeah, and others will parrot it. Mm-hmm. Iran looks at what he says and laughs. It's a different entity completely. So here's how yesterday played out. President Trump once again threatened new military strikes on Tehran before announcing he had once again called off the attacks. Since the U.S. and Israel launched the war in Iran back in late February, the president has publicly delayed or canceled planned military action at least 8 times. Trump claimed progress in negotiation as the reason for backing off the strikes yesterday.
this hurts the petrodollar. Like this system is now unsustainable. It's unsustainable now. Like we can't have the petrodollar anymore, because anytime Iran feels like it, they can raise the toll, and or they get mad, they can just shut the Strait of Hormuz down, because they already seen that what's the worst that's gonna happen. They're gonna get bombed a little bit by Trump. They can handle that. They can handle that. And the hardliners are in charge. Like I said before, he killed all the people who were willing to make peace. Like in that HBO movie about a nuclear war, where it was like, we don't target the leadership, because if we kill the leadership, there's nobody left to make peace. Trump killed the entire Iranian leadership. Now it's only the hardliners, young people, relatively young people, who are in charge. And that's not who you got to deal with. Like, you're a complete bozo. And they not gonna move. They're not gonna be, you're not moving them on this. You killed all the moderates. You killed all the old people who would have made a deal, who would have backed down. You killed all of them day one. Now who's left? Only the radicals, who don't care about what you do. They don't care if you bomb the country. They don't care about the people suffering. They just gonna do what they want to do. They just gonna stick to it. This is what they want. This is what they've been wanting, was the war, because they felt that in their heart that they could win the war, and they will come out in a better position when the war is over, which they did. $300 billion, all sanctions lifted. They get to put tolls on the Strait of Hormuz, and that's just the first round of deals. The second round of deals is about talking about the nuclear material, which they're not going to even agree to. You're not even going to get the deal that Obama had. Shout out a pimp named Slipback for the 5. Yeah, of course FBA ain't going to talk about this. Why would they? Why would they? You know they pro Trump, they pro MAGA, they're a white nationalist psyop. They ain't going to say nothing that make their daddy Trump look bad. They ain't going to say nothing that make they daddy Trump look bad.
Had a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents. We should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing.
All right. The president offered a few other details, and he has claimed a deal could be imminent several times in recent weeks. Later last night, Trump put it like this, quote, "We ended the war with Iran today." Tehran, however, is at least publicly telling a very different story. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman told state TV that the country has not reached a final decision regarding any agreement, and no signing date is set. Axios, meanwhile...
That just keeps happening. It just keeps happening.
Yeah. Axios, meanwhile, has details of what is in the agreement. President Trump says he's ready to sign. According to a diplomat from one of the mediating countries and a U.S. official, the memorandum of understanding would extend the ceasefire for 60 days, including Lebanon, during which time nuclear negotiations would be held. On the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh yeah, the $300 billion is for reconstruction. So they agreeing to give Iran $300 billion to rebuild all the stuff that Trump destroyed during the war. Plus, to play out restitution to the victims, of the families who died, all that. Iran is going to look better. $300 billion. Trump didn't destroy. If somebody told me Trump destroyed $30 billion worth of stuff in Iran, I would be like, cat. $300 billion. They going and no sanctions, so they can sell their oil however they want to whoever they want now. So now they don't got to get lowball, because remember, people were lowballing Iran before because they oil was under sanction. So they were like, all right, I'll buy the oil, but you got to sell it to me at a discount. Now they can sell it, they oil at regular prices, plus they get to rebuild their whole country and have $300 billion to spend how they want to spend. Insane. 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 Everybody, make sure you supporting the stream any way you can. Make sure fire emojis, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Hype points, share the stream, do it all.
The key waterway would be reopened immediately without tolls, with the return to pre-war shipping volumes within 30 days. In return, the U.S. blockade would also be lifted. Iran would also be given temporary sanctions waivers to allow it to sell oil for 60 days. Axios reports the tentative agreement was reached on Wednesday night after hours of negotiations between a Qatari mediator and Iran's foreign minister, with the mediator coordinating by phone with Trump envoy Steve Witkoff.
Oh, the enrichment of uranium, that's not even a part of the deal, Milestone. That's not even a part of the deal. They said that's going to be the second half of the deal. So Trump going to give them the $300 billion plus take the sanctions off of them, let them sell their oil. Because right here it says that they can't put no tolls on the Strait of Hormuz for like the first 30 days. But after the 30 days is up, they can put tolls on it. Like, this is crazy. This is what Trump is giving up in the first deal. That this doesn't have anything to do with the nuclear stuff that's going to happen next. Beyond ridiculous. Thank you, Benevolent, for the fire emoji. Yes, voting for the couch is very expensive. Very expensive. Of course, ain't no reparations for black people now. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Foxhound. You just brought it to you just helped me remember it. That's what I was supposed to cover. Because right now, in court, they are suing to keep Evanston, Illinois, from paying out reparations to black people. Right now. Yeah, we're gonna definitely get to that after this. This is crazy. Insane. Yep, to halt it. Salute, how I say it? Pala Walla. Remember the Pala Walla? Hopefully I'm saying it right. You said it was Pala Walla. Yeah, let's get back to this.
And Jared Kushner.
Okay, I think we made, Michael Weiss, I think we made a mistake here. It's Friday, people get tired, and so I guess Alex just put in an old script.
Not an old script.
Because we've read that 12 times before, and a couple new details, though, now. You have Netanyahu, obviously, is fighting for his own political life, being called a weakling, saying he follows Donald Trump around. He's getting hammered literally from the left, center, and right in Iran, even though the left, center, and right in Iran is all sort of center-right right now, at the very least. But again, Michael, maybe you can give us some insight. Why do we keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again when the Iranians have rejected this deal time and again, and hardliners in America have rejected this deal?
I mean, I just want to read you Iran's Mehr news agency put out their version of this deal. Now, again, underscore, we don't know that this is the thing that Axios is reporting. We don't know if this is going to be the memorandum of understanding. But in their version of the deal, they get $300 billion in reconstruction money, $24 billion in a cash infusion, half of which will come before the negotiations begin. Remember, Joe, this isn't a deal. This is
Oh my God, $24 billion that's gonna come before. Wait, matter of fact, let's bring that back, because he just said something that I didn't even realize. Let's see. Let's bring that back.
We don't know if this is going to be the memorandum of understanding, but in their version of the deal, they get $300 billion in reconstruction money, $24 billion in a cash infusion, half of which will come before the negotiations begin. Remember,
24, half of which, $12 billion before the negotiations even start. Just give me $12 billion off the rip just to even talk to you.
Joe, this isn't a deal. This is an agreement to keep talking, right, and an extension of a ceasefire. There's nothing in here, on, again, the Iranian version, that talks about the missile program or financing or arming terrorist proxies like Lebanese Hezbollah. I mean, this would be an utter humiliation. I could see why Trump would want J.D. Vance to go to a signing ceremony instead.
Y'all heard that, right? This is not even a deal. This is stuff that Trump has got to agree to for them to even have the conversation for a deal. Just to have the conversation for a deal. Crazy.
Donald Trump,
Right.
if this is
Not
any
him.
pale shade
Yeah.
of what this thing is going to look like. Look, I think he knows he's being had. He knows he's been abased by a regime that shouldn't exist by his lights, right? We were going in to do regime change. The Israelis certainly thought we were going to do regime change. We were going to arm the Kurds. We were going to install Ahmadinejad, a Holocaust-denying former president, as our preferred satrap. All of these plans came to dust. And he just wants out of it. I think Jonathan is right. You know, he's got buyer's remorse.
Some of that money is the frozen money. We not talking. Matter of fact, this is not the frozen money. That $300 billion is not the frozen money. That $24 billion is not the frozen money. That's probably going to come later on when he's going to have to give them the frozen money. That $24 billion is just to have the conversation. That $300 billion is for what's it called? It's for reparations to reconstruct the country. No, that's not even the money that's frozen from Iran. Remember, when Obama gave Iran I think it was $1.7 billion of their own money, everybody act like that was the biggest L in the world. That $324 billion, that ain't their money. That's just money Trump is giving them from America. This is the worst surrender in the history of America. Ain't nothing worse than this. Ain't nothing worse than this. The worst surrender ever.
He thinks he's been sold a bill of goods. He probably has been. And he just wants this thing over and done with. He's already looking at Cuba, right? But the problem is he can't sell this.
I know for a fact they're gonna invade Cuba. There's no way he can let this this type of L hang in the air. He's gonna invade Cuba. There's no way. There's no way he can let this type of L just hang in the air.
Kind of thing. He can't sell it to his base. He can't sell it to the hawks. I mean, can you imagine Lindsey Graham on Twitter? If anything like what I just read you is the agreement here. I mean, this makes the JCPOA look like the Iraq War. You know, I mean, this Donald Trump ran against Barack Obama, saying he just gifted all this money to Iran, pallets of cash. This is pallets of cash, probably with a little crypto action thrown in for the Witkoffs and the Kushners on the side, too. I mean, I don't know how anyone can look at this. And I've been talking not only to hawks in this country who are very pro-war, I've talked to Israeli national security strategists, former Israeli spies, who tell me this is a disaster for us. And why is it a disaster? Prior to this war, Israel had freedom of action, right? They get bombed, Iran launches a missile at them, a terrorist blows something up. They don't ask our permission. They go in and they do what they have to. Now what happens? Donald Trump gets on the phone with every journalist and says, Bibi listens to me. You know, I'm the big boy here. The Israelis don't lift a finger unless I allow them to. This is not what Israel wants. You know, this war for them, I think, has become like a pair of golden handcuffs. Yes, we helped them bomb Iran. Yes, we helped them, get rid of at least most of the missile program. The Iranians took a beating. They've taken a beating with the economic penalties imposed by this blockade. But now the Israelis feel like, you know, they oversold and underdelivered. And, you know, Bibi has a problem, too, at home.
That's what he get. Remember, Benjamin Netanyahu was purposely doing the things he was doing while Joe Biden was running for office, trying to make Joe Biden look incompetent, trying to stir up the left so people didn't want to vote for the Democrats so Trump could win. Now Trump won, and now y'all in the worst position. Y'all would not be in this position right now had Joe Biden been a re-elected president. Had Kamala Harris been elected president. Because, yeah, she probably wouldn't let y'all do all this other stuff, but she wouldn't have did this type of surrender and capitulation to Iran. Remember, Iran is getting all this money, and they don't. And a part of the understanding is Iran doesn't have to agree to stop arming its proxies. Best believe a lot of that $300 billion is going to Hezbollah, going to the Houthis, going to the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iran. I mean, in Iraq. This is gonna be used to stir up some drama in Syria. Yeah, you are in a worse position, not a better one, and that's good for you.
Israelis do not feel like they're getting value for dollar for this thing. So he's facing a political revolt in his country.
Yeah, and there will be, obviously, John Heilman, a revolt in this country if those numbers are accurate. And I did notice that the president didn't talk about sanctions relief. He didn't talk about the so-called reconstruction dollars that he'd been talking about for quite some time. And you just look at these numbers that Michael just talked about. You're at about $325 billion that the Iranians would be paid just to go into negotiations for 6 months.
Again, $324 billion being paid just to negotiate. This is not even like, oh, we got guarantees on the table. There is no guarantees. You're just going to give me that money and then I will agree to talk to you. And I may or may not agree to your demands. This is the worst defeat in American history. This is worse than the war on terror. This is worse than Vietnam. This is worse than Korea. This is worse than them all.
I want to remind everybody, the great meltdown among all Republicans regarding Barack Obama's pallets of cash.
Right.
Was $400 million.
So I got it wrong because I said 1.7 billion. It was 400. No, I think the deal might have been worth altogether 1.7 billion. But the cash amount was 400 billion. And that was, 400 million. And was Iran's money. Insane. America went out beyond sad. I don't care what nobody say. This is exactly super L. I don't care what nobody say. This is beyond a super L. And this is a form of BBC aside. I don't care. All this because they hated Barack Obama so much because they couldn't get his meat off their mind because they really wanted to put it in their mouth. So they just said, you know what? Let's just kill the whole country. Let's just kill the whole country and put Trump in. Let's put him in twice. This is a form of BBC aside, man. Exactly. Because empires like America, they don't fall from without. They fall from within. Now that Trump is want to give Iran all that money, let's see what he got to say about Evanston. Because, yeah, as you can see on your screen, for all you don't know, the Trump administration is right now trying to stop Evanston from paying black people reparations. And let's just get into this.
The Trump administration has decided to stop a local government from giving reparations to black people. Put it up full mass. I'm going to explain what the party of small government has decided to do. The Trump administration has made a request to a judge to halt the United States' first reparations program focused on 20th century race-based housing discrimination against a black community in a Chicago suburb. It also joined an existing lawsuit that deems the program unconstitutional. Before I get into the details of this case.
Yeah. Also, remember that the existing lawsuit was filed by Ed Blum. Again, this is happening because Trump became president. Not just once, but twice. Like I told people, I explained to them that if y'all allow Trump to become president, this is back in even 2016. If Trump wins, reparations is a dead issue. And we going back to Jim Crow. Jim Crow 2.0 will be here for us. Trump won in 2016 and he won in 2024. Here we are. Jim Crow 2.0. Y'all said y'all wanted segregation. Well, this is segregation. This is segregation right here. This is Jim Crow right here. Black people fought. I think these black people were connected to N-Cobra, the N-Cobra that FBA keep attacking. Fought and won reparations. And then you had Ed Blum suing to stop them from getting reparations. Now you got the federal government joining in with Ed Blum to say, hey, do not let Evanston give these black people reparations. You ain't hear none of these FBA bozos talk about this. The only FBA bozos you ever heard talk about this, I think, was Professor Black Truth or the Black Authority. And it was back, and that was like some time ago, like months ago. And they was talking about it just to attack the Democrats. Now we got an update. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. As far as I remember, I think this story is like 2 days old. Nobody spoke about it. But you still got people talking about British black actors, though. You still got people talking about Barack Obama. You still got people crying about Juneteenth. But nothing about this.
Case and the scenario that the White House has presented, I want to remind everyone that the United States of America is not against reparations. The U.S. has given reparations by way of statutory proclamation and presidential concurrence. Reparations has been issued prior. Many groups, including Jewish Americans, including Native Americans, and others. Now, have they given reparations to the tune that we believe they should for some of these atrocities? Of course not. But reparations is not a dynamic of constitutional prohibition, at least not for other groups. But for some reason, that becomes the argument as it relates to black people who have been historically disenfranchised, which is the same prerequisite for other groups to receive reparations. And yes, slave owners receive reparations as well after the Emancipation Proclamation. So the program launched.
Exactly, President Jafar. Exactly. All they doing is crying about Juneteenth. Crying about Juneteenth. We got all this going on and they still crying about Juneteenth. Like somebody's going to stop celebrating Juneteenth. Shout out to Carlette in the building. Yes, this is crazy. Like, think about it. Again, like I keep saying, we got black people who was born and raised in Jim Crow still alive and got to watch us go back to Jim Crow. Got to watch us go back to Jim Crow. What was all that fighting and all that fighting for? What was all that marching for? What was all that dying for? Just to watch people just give it away and send us back to Jim Crow. Insane. Shout out to Julius in the building. Yeah, I did notice that. Oh, shout out to Dragon Blood TV in the building. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. But yeah, let's keep it going. Oh, you making moves major, you know they're gonna blame the Democrats. When they finally talk about this, you know they're gonna blame the Democrats. My family moved to New York from the South too. Like they was like, nah, we gotta get out of here. Yeah, let's keep it going.
In Evanston, Illinois. This was in 2021. We talked about it. Is the first and only one of its kind in the United States, allotting $20 million to black residents, their direct descendants who lived in the city between 1919 and 1969 and suffered housing discrimination because of city ordinances, policies, or practices. Residents, regardless of race, who experienced discrimination due to the city's policies or practices after 1969 also qualified. This is an expansion of the understanding of reparations. Reparations means to repair, and typically in the context of governmental repair. Now, there are some who will say, well, I didn't do that to them. Why should I pay for it? That's not the issue. The issue is it was done to them by way of the government. And while you may not have been alive during that time, the same government that services them today is the same government that serviced their ancestors back during that day. And that same government is here. And that same government has a responsibility to right what they know was wrong.
Exactly. Same government. That's that perfect thing to say about reparations, because I say that also. The government is still here. They have a right to right those wrongs. They have a responsibility to right those wrongs. Yes, they have a responsibility. Shout out to Starborn in the building. Yeah, it wasn't just Tariq. Tariq played a role in it, but it wasn't just Tariq. It wasn't just Tariq. Thank you, Keith Johnson, for the fire emojis. Yeah, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being in the building. Let's keep this going.
If they would have done the right thing at that time, the generational inheritance of the descendants would be quite different than they are today. That's a basic calculation. That's why you must have a model that includes year to year, because there has to be a known background as to when it occurred. Now you can track the individuals who were adversely affected. There's more. The city has already distributed $7 million using revenue from the local tax on legal marijuana sales to hundreds of people in $25,000 increments to be used for home repairs, down payments on property, and interest or late penalties on property in the city. There's more. The demographics, approximately 14% of the city's population, roughly 76,000 residents are Black. That's according to the U.S. Census, with 11% identifying as more than one race. A majority of the city's Black residents live in the city's 5th and 2nd wards, which are historically low-income areas. That's according to a 2024 study on the reparations program. So let's get back into the lawsuit. The Justice Department filed a motion to join a lawsuit filed by the conservative activist group Judicial Watch, representing descendants of people who had lived in Evanston but could not apply for the program because they were not Black. The suit argues that the racial requirement is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, a statute.
You see how they use our amendments that were meant to help us, to attack us? Like, this is what they do.
Aimed at making formerly enslaved Black people equal citizens of the United States. Talk about an upside down pyramid interpretation. Literally, the constitutional dynamic was meant to protect the very people that the reparations allocation is helping. It was meant to protect them, but they're utilizing it as an argument against protecting them in favor of people who are non-Black. There's more. Put it up for a mask. Hermit Dillon, the assistant DA, attorney general, of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, said in a statement, quote, "There are sound ways for a city to remedy past discrimination or direct resources to its most vulnerable citizens and neighborhoods. Simply handing out money based on race, however, is not the answer. It is race discrimination, pure and simple, and it is illegal." Assistant Attorney General, I need you to read.
Like, again, every time it comes, this is what Jim Crow is. This is what segregation is. Like, I played the Malcolm X clip. I think I need to find it and play it again, about segregation being about a superior telling an inferior where they can and cannot go, what they can and cannot do, and saying what's okay for us, but it's not okay for you. This is what we're dealing with. Thank you, Visionary, for the fire emojis. Yes, tomato. Talking about just handing out money is not going to fix anything. So what else is you supposed to do? People lost the bag because of racism. I don't know. I guess the only way to fix that is to, give the people a bag. Like, what else are you going to do? Ridiculous. Yeah, FBA don't know a lot of things. They don't know a lot of things. Don't know a lot of things. This is disgusting. Exactly. Because, this is going to, again, like I said, Evanston is like going to lose. I don't see no way that they could win. Like, it's like a 1% chance that they could win. Because now you got the Justice Department working with Ed Blum, to go after them. Evanston might just say, you know what, we withdraw, because that's just too much heat. They can't fight that. They might end up blowing a bag trying to fight this, just to go to the Supreme Court and lose 6-3, 5-4. Like, come on.
Because the city's prerequisite is not a simple race predicated element. You have to prove factors beyond race in order to qualify for the money. There's more. Mayor Daniel Biss said that, quote, the city of Evanston is reviewing the Justice Department filing. We stand behind our first in the nation reparations program, are confident in its constitutionality, and look forward to defending it in court.
Good job, Mayor. Good job. Because again, some people would have said, you know what, we're not going to win, so we might as well just bow out. But you saying you're going to push it. So salute to the mayor.
Mayor, very thankful for your leadership, sir. You all, in my opinion, are on a solid legal and constitutional footing because you do allow individuals who are not Black to participate if they can prove the prerequisites as listed. It is interesting.
The funny part is they shouldn't even have to do that. Like, it's so sad that when Black people going through something, you got to jump through all these crazy hurdles where it's like, all right, well, it's not just about race. If a white person can prove that they got the same treatment, then yeah, they can come too. Like, it shouldn't even be that. It shouldn't even be that. It should just be straightforward. This is for Black people because of what happened to Black people. The end. But we got to jump through all these hoops because trying to avoid lawsuits that's going to come regardless. And now those judges are in place, we could probably still lose. 99% chance we're going to lose. And what is FBA and Tariq and them going to say when they finally cover this? They're going to blame the Democrats, and they're going to also say, well, this wasn't real reparations anyway because they don't got the word Black in it. So that means, technically speaking, maybe a white person could have got something. So this wasn't real reparations. This wasn't delineated. Some nonsense. So it's a good thing that Trump is stopping it.
That the Department of Justice would seek to stop, call it a reparations bill, call it governmental remedy, call it whatever you choose to. It is a local government concern. The party of small government and local control is seeking and has sought under this administration time and time again to take away your local ability to govern. If you allow them, regardless of your stance on reparations, if you allow them to take this away from you, what will stop them from taking away another local issue from you? Nothing.
Exactly. Nothing. Yes. They wiped out so many grants. Yes, Evanston got to stay strong and got to keep pushing this issue. Push the line, Evanston. Push the line. Even if you lose, it got to go to the end. It has to go to the end. Oh yeah, this guy's talking about. I think he's talking about this. What I saw. I saw this. I think he's talking about the suicide crisis going on in the Black community right now with young Black men. Something also I said was going to happen if things didn't change and things was going to get worse. I think that's it. Let's see if that's it.
There's a statistic, a data analysis that has come out about young Black men. Young Black men are now taking their own lives at a historic rate. This is a very...
I knew it. I knew this was about that because I just saw that when it was titled. I'm like, yeah, it's about that. Because when I was little, I think I only heard of one case where a Black person killed themselves. And it was like, and nobody believed it. Everybody was like, no, that ain't true. Somebody killed him. Black people don't kill themselves. Black people don't kill themselves. That's what white people do. That's what other people do. We don't kill ourselves. Like suicide in the Black community has always been historically rare. Like just rare. Like doesn't happen. Like Like, yeah, we had an uptick because, people was coming back from the war on terror and they were soldiers and some of them was killing themselves. But all things made equal, black people don't kill themselves like that, especially young black men in the prime of their life just killing themselves. That's not a thing. But now it's a thing. It's becoming such a thing, and it's gotten so big so far that now young black men are killing themselves at a higher rate than like pretty much anybody else. Higher rate than anybody else. They killing themselves because they got no hope. Like, they don't got no hope. They don't see no prospects for the future. Nobody's helping them. Things are getting harder and harder and harder. It's like, that's why they just doing it. That's why they doing it. It's like the economy. This is another thing I was talking about why Trump can't win, because we already know he's gonna mess up the economy, and when they mess up the economy, the burden is gonna fall the hardest on black people. It's gonna fall the hardest on black people. It's gonna fall the hardest on black people. Carla, you said 2 young black men committed suicide together. When did this happen? Oh man, that's a tragedy. Like, may God be with the families. Like, this that's what I'm saying. Like, it's becoming a real like thing now where like this especially young black men just killing themselves to the point where it's like it passed white people. It passed white people, and it's only going to get worse. And Lee, you're correct. This is why I never bang with the manosphere. That's why I always said the manosphere. It wasn't, and again, they're not the black manosphere. They're the Negro manosphere. Oshay named them right. Negro manosphere. A bunch of bozos sitting around gender war and crying about black women all day. And I always pointed out that how does this help black men? Black men going through real problems out here. How do we help them and reach them by crying about black women all day? How do we help them with that? And the answer is it doesn't help them. It doesn't help them at all. And when people put forth like plans that could possibly help young black men, they shot it down. When people talked about mentorships and helping people with skills and whatever the case may be, like get a trade or whatever, they shot all that down. Because I remember, because for all you don't know, I have my license. I'm a licensed boiler in New York. I was showing people how I got it and how I got that for free. The journey I went through and how I got it for free. I didn't even have to pay. I didn't even have to pay to take those classes. Didn't. Like, these are things, there are programs and stuff out there. And what do they want to do? They want to focus on the people who don't want to know. Talking about, oh, I heard a story about somebody who tried to pay for somebody to get a CDL and they didn't show up. It's like, 1, I don't believe you. 2, let's say, for example, that story is true. That's one person. So we supposed to give up on a whole generation of our youth because one person tried to help another person and that other person wasn't serious about the help? Like, come on now. Ridiculous. You said this happened at the beginning of the year? Sad. Sad, sad, sad. Sad.
Sad but necessary story. Put it up for mass. According to Capital B News, for the first time since the United States government began collecting data on this, young black men are now dying by unaliving themselves at a rate higher than young white men.
You heard what he said. First time ever. First time ever in the history of America. Before, the suicide rates wasn't even comparable. Now it's happening at a higher rate. It went from being not comparable to a higher rate. Like, the community got real issues to focus on. Not Juneteenth, about who's celebrating Juneteenth, not about tethers, not about black women, not about the Democrats. The community got real issues. Exactly, AZ. It was never this high. First of all, it was never this high, and it damn sure was never, ever higher than white people's suicide rate. Never. Think about all the stuff black people been through. Jim Crow, crack era, mass incarceration, Reaganomics, all that. And people wasn't killing themselves. People wasn't killing themselves. Let alone at a comparable rate to white people. Now we done shot past it. And that was another thing I explained to people. I said, the current group of young black people we got is not equipped for what we going into. They're not equipped mentally or none of that for what we are going into. You know why? Because we had a group of black people who actually grew up relatively good in America. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than how every other group of black people ever grew up in America. I would even say combined. I would say this generation had it better than every other generation that came before them of black people combined. And now it's being taken away from them. And they got no prospects for the future. And they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And ain't nobody trying to help them show them what to do. And now people are just choosing to kill themselves. A lot of dudes is choosing to become transformers. That's another thing. The black male transformer rate is higher than the white male transformer rate right now. Also.
Let that picture stay up just for a moment. All premature death is sad. All of it. Cause and effect, the relationship of cause and effect is real. The adverse policies that we have witnessed for years.
That's a fact, Lord of Slaughter. That's a fact. That's another thing. That's another thing I said too. They didn't grow up black like that. That's why you got all this situation when people are arguing like, why we got to vote Democrat? Oh, aren't we Americans? Don't I got the right to choose who I want to vote for? And all this other stuff. They wasn't raised black like that. They didn't have UPN the way we had UPN. They didn't watch black shows. They was raised with the internet, and they wasn't raised black like that. They wasn't. Oh, Palabala, I know about that, but that's also counting. Suicide by cop count as suicide. So yeah, there was a lot of people committing suicide by cop, but again, it wasn't this. Like, yeah, that happened, but it was not comparable to what we're seeing right now. And again, those suicide rates were not comparable to what whites were doing to themselves. Young white men were doing to themselves. Wasn't. It just wasn't. But now, through the roof. Shout out to Lee D. Clinton in the building. You already know, red, black, and green. Exactly. They don't understand. That's why people are they really being confused. Like, think about it. A lot of people are like when they seeing the racist stuff that Trump is doing, it's like, well, he can't do that, or that wouldn't be tolerated, or this is America, or we this, or we that, and it's like they can't get it. They're not getting it. That no, we back in Jim Crow, and this was always America. You always been black. You always been black. You had it better than everybody else, but this is still America, and things about to get way worse. Way worse. Because again, like we talked about before, with the Alabama Speaker of the House, they trying to go after the 14th Amendment now. They not happy with just having us back in Jim Crow. They trying to take us back to the antebellum South. They trying to take us back to the antebellum South.
Against black males in particular has a cause and effect reality too. The figure comes from the CDC. CDC data in total across genders, black Americans have seen their overall rate climb by 53% between 2014 and 2024. That's more than 10 times faster than white people in the same study and twice as high as Latinos and Native Americans in the same study. Black children, young men age 16 to 29 are dying by unaliving themselves at a rate that is higher than whites and young men, despite the fact that across all age groups, whites are nearly twice as likely to die by unaliving themselves than black men. The crisis for young black men peaks between 20 and 24 with a death rate of 31.9 per 100,000 in the highest of any group. Jones says social media may play a role.
Look at this. Yeah, you're right, V. David. Even higher than indigenous people, Native Americans, who also were famous for killing themselves or drinking themselves to death. Like, it's like I said, this is legendary right now. I don't even want to use the word legendary because that's not a good thing. Like, but it's like this is beyond anything we have ever seen before in the history of this nation. Beyond anything we ever seen before in the history of this nation. Beyond it. Like oh my God, it's just terrible. Oh, thank you. Late stage capitalism. That played a role in it too, because remember, a lot of these kids was like Lord of the Slaughter said, was raised American. So now everybody looking around about why I don't have this, why I don't have that. Like I just was having this conversation the other day about you people talking about, oh, the older generation dropped the ball, or why I don't have this or have that. It's like, yo, do you know what they had to deal with? They didn't have it sweet like you got it right now. And again, all that somebody just said, like when the guy was talking, somebody talking about the internet. Yes, the internet. A bunch of people sitting around on the internet all day because nobody used the internet more than black people, looking at all the stuff that other people got and they talking about, and they getting depressed. Like why I don't got, why I can't have, or why my parents can't give me money to start a business, or why my grandparents don't have this for me to inherit, and this and that and that and this. And it's like, it's becoming too much. That's why, again, I don't like that older black people drop the ball content, or the civil rights generation sold us out content. Like, no. That's true too. True too. Shout out to RBG for the win in the building. Disgusting. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if that play a role, like the parents' ideology play a role. But I definitely know the ideology of we really all Americans has played a role. Like, all right, like you just as American as anybody else. That played a role. I know for a fact that's playing a role. That's playing a role.
Social media gives young people a constant stream of images and narratives that make their own lives feel small or disposable, or sometimes reinforces thoughts of self-harm. The same feeds that have helped normalize conversations about therapy and trauma, he added, also bombarded young black men with videos of police killings, war, and other people's highlighting trauma reels. It is a mix that can deepen hopelessness rather than relieve it. Quote, if you don't have the language or support to process that, it can start to feel like there's no place for you here, he said. It's not complicated. If the images that are reinforced.
Yes, the solution is a lot of people got to get off the internet. A lot of people got to realize that they are black. And again, we've been on this land for 500 years. And every generation of black people, every group of black people had to deal with racism, and you're going to have to deal with it too. And you're in a unique situation because we going back to Jim Crow and they trying to take us back to the antebellum South. But you got to understand that. You got to learn how to deal with that. Like, just like everybody else dealt with it. They got up in the morning, They put one foot in front of the other, and they tried their best to make the world a better place. You got to give people a mission. That's the solution. Give people a mission, a purpose, so they don't feel hopeless. Like, all right, things are bad, but guess what? If we work together, we can make them better. This is the reason. This is the reason. This is what kept black people going. Think about it. Those black people living through lynchings, black code, Jim Crow. They're what kept them going. Is the fact that we could work together and we could get a and we could have a better day. That's got to be the message. This is not hopeless. That's why I always say, tell people, do not doomer. Do not say like, oh, this is hopeless. We're done. No. Yeah, we have went backwards, but we can go forward. We can work, stop going backwards, and we can go forward. Don't be hopeless. Do not give up hope. That's how you solve this. Do not give up hope. Things can and will get better, but we have to, like Lee said, work together. We have to come together. That's the only way, or we all gonna die. That's it.
Forced to you on a regular basis are images adversarial and antithetical to your very being, to the existence of you, to your black skin. That may be internalized in a way that you can't gauge in a common classroom setting. You may not be able to have a statistical output of how that is impacting the individual. They have no access to psychological care. Or
I'm AZ. I didn't say they grew up easy. I said they grew up easier than everybody else. They had it better than everybody else. That's a fact. No group of black people, especially in the 21st century, black people born in the 21st century, has had it easier than every other generation that ever came before them. Every generation that ever came before them. If you was black and you was born in the 21st century, you had it better and easier than every other group of black people who ever came before you. I didn't say they had it easy, but they had it easier.
Traditional counseling. And so all of it becomes very internalized and also expressed in other unhealthy ways. Death rates appear to correspond with living in predominantly white conservative areas. We have to talk about.
Oh, see, they brought that up. I forgot who said something about whether it's about somebody having MAGA parents and stuff like that. A lot of these suicides are happening for black people living in white neighborhoods. Exactly. Because MAGA parents, whoever said that, I gotta find your comment. MAGA black parents are playing a role. Because guess what? You got MAGA black parents moving to all white neighborhoods with a bunch of MAGA white people who are super racist, and they're being racist to their children, and the white parent and the black parents is letting it ride, and the black kids are just killing themselves. They letting it ride. Like I told the story before about a situation where a black child was being racially abused, and the black people who worked at the job told the parents and said they would testify in court. They would help. They would fight with the parents all the way through. The parents refused to do anything about it because they was worried about what their white friends were going to say. The parents said, oh, we don't want our white friends or our white neighbors to think that we just run around pulling the race card all day. Mind you, something actually racist had happened to their child. Not we speculating that this might have been done for racist reasons. No, it was done for racist reasons. And they didn't push the line because they was worried about how their white neighbors, their white friends were going to perceive them. They sacrificed their child.
About more than 1 in 4 black men who died by unaliving themselves in 2024 lived in Georgia, Texas, and Florida. But the highest death rates are concentrated in smaller states with a lower black population. The highest death rates were found in places like Utah, Kansas, Colorado, and Oregon. where culturally competent mental health care is often the hardest to find.
Exactly. I don't even know why any black people want to live in Utah. Racist Mormon state Utah that teaches that black skin is literally a sign of you allying, working with the devil. And the only way to be and if you're a black person, if you're truly good, your skin will turn lighter. I don't even know how a black person would even want to even live there. But again, probably some black parents who converted to Mormonism didn't even know what they was converting to, and then moved to Utah and they said, you know what, I'm just gonna sit here and thug it out. Insane. Kansas, Colorado, Oregon, like, you serious? This, like, wasn't Oregon the state that banned black people from even coming there for like how many years?
Effect, microcosm, macrocosm. There's more. BP Lyles, who works for Pennsylvania's Human Rights Coalition, said the crisis is inseparable from the broader structural forces bearing down on black men. Can I zoom out just for a moment? It is broader, it is deeper than than these structural forces. Okay, so understand the context. The context is we have an issue, yes, and these issues have a design to them, and these structural forces are not separate from the influence that the structure or the design has on this.
That's right, SSB. Like, yeah, how many of these were actually suicides? Looking at those areas.
On this dynamic of young black men unaliving themselves now at record rates. You don't have a separation of this. Well, who would study that? How would you study that? How can you make a remedy from that? It is interesting that studying race in the context of social influence, critical race theory, studying race as it relates to social, economic, political structures becomes the prerequisite to figuring out how to remedy this. You take that away, you have no conduit to study how these structures can be dismantled or adjusted in order to create better outcomes for black young men who have been adversely impacted at this level, rising at 53% over all other demographics. So now you have your motive, part of your motive as to why they did not want you to study this, why they took it out of school, or why they said it never should have been studied even in law school, because they wanted to take away the opportunity to solve it. BP Lyles, who works for the Pennsylvania Human Rights Coalition, said the crisis is inseparable from the structural forces bearing down on black men. Quote, the lack of identity, the lack of belonging, the lack of knowing that people matter, it damages the psyche, he says. Lyles, who has spent years working with incarcerated black men, described a pattern of men forced into silence under the weight of trauma, much like veterans who returned from war, never wanting to speak of what they've seen and experienced. Quote, people are forced into silence, he said, and that has to be broken. We also saw a study we talked about on Indisputable not too long ago of how health is impacted depending on what college you went to. So there was a study that showed if you went to a historically black college, your health in the long term is better than the group that went to a PWI, predominantly white institution. This could be one of those but-for factors, not because the institution happens to be white or black, but because one institution may reinforce positive self-ideology and identity over the other institution. And these things are so ingrained and indoctrinated that as it relates to one institution, let's say an HBCU, naturally reinforcing a positive agenda, it may not be very natural for a PWI to do so. And by that oversight, that one thing, not an intentional structural design, unintentional, but in proxy still does the exact same thing. That is the reason you need critical race theory to understand it from a critical analysis point of view.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes, this is a sad story. Sad story. Like I can't like. Yes. Also, there's an uptick in lynchings. Like the two brothers who was found dead, where they said one killed the other and killed himself. I heard that there was an arrest made in that case. It's like, yes, people dying in these sundown towns, like, because people acting like sundown towns don't exist anymore, and they be going to these places out of bounds by themselves with no weapon, and then now nobody can't find them, or people find them a month later hanging from a tree. So you disappeared or by yourself for a whole month, and then decided to hang yourself after being gone for a month. This is disgusting. We got to move on to a lighter topic, because it's like, I can't. It's getting too crazy. It's getting too crazy. Matter of fact, I know a lighter topic we can go on before we head to this. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all hitting that share. Let's see this.
Family and fellow soldiers.
For all you don't know, they turn it. I guess the New Black Media saw the video I made about them letting drunk Joe Brown say the things that he said about Karmelo Anthony and not checking them. So now I think they all feel the need to check them now, because again, I waited some time before I made my video, and nobody said anything about drunk Joe Brown. Now after I called them out, now they want to say something. And the funny thing about it is, like I said in the last video, I touched on this. Judge Joe Brown been saying things like this. You can't be mad at him now and say, oh, he sold out, he's a bootleg, when he has been saying things like this the whole time. Remember, he was a real judge in Memphis, and he bragged about putting black men in jail, giving them more time than they were supposed to get. When he could have gave him probation, he sent them to jail. He bragged about stuff like this. This is not nothing new. He has not changed his position. So that means you're either attacking him now because you're clout chasing, or you never knew his positions and you was just meat riding him, clout chasing. Either way, it makes you look bad. But let's get into this. Let's see what he got to say.
I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
The defendant was on the wrong side of the field. He was under an awning, apparently to shield himself from the rain, but that was another team's bench, and he had no business being there. Even if he was from the same school, he had no business being there. Somebody asked him to leave. He didn't. And then there was a quarrel that developed. He said, in his own words, he became fearful, and he pulled a knife and he stabbed the deceased in the chest. All right. Now, the stupid cowards that are out there trying to justify what he did don't seem to get it. They start talking about he might have been hurt. Yeah, that's the point of a fist fight. You might get hurt, might get knocked out, might get a tooth broken, a nose broken, a jaw broken, cheekbone broken, all kinds of other stuff that can happen. That's why it takes men to deal with man on man, 1-to-1 fair fight, because you have the balls. Most people that I'm listening to now don't have the balls to do that. And what happened, is that he became fearful, he says, and he stabbed him. That is dishonorable. That's disgusting. That is prime. No, that is just an example of cowardice. I hope they really wreck him, because I am embarrassed that so many of these fools are trying to associate cowardice, dishonor. I have a long list I don't even want to go through because I'll start cussing thinking about it. They want to associate that with what I am. I'm a black man.
You know, I really don't remember this guy being this angry about any of the black people who have been murdered by the police or white supremacists, you know.
Yeah, you say you don't remember him being this angry. Exactly. He never was this angry, which I was still promoting him, still meat riding him. You're right. Jason Black, who's probably Professor Black Truth, had him in a documentary. Y'all was elevating him like he was some type of hero when y'all was really just clout chasing his celebrity. Because again, everybody knows him from his TV show. So y'all was really just clout chasing his celebrity. That's all it was. And I think the real reason why they want to do this against Karmelo too, against Judge Joe Brown, because I made that video of Judge Joe Brown calling Jason Black out and calling him a bozo and exposing him for being a weirdo who commits weird crimes against women. But yeah, let's let him keep talking.
Like Ahmaud Arbery was, but he is absolutely furious about a black child defending himself against a violent thug. That's how you know this is as much performative on his part as it is genuine stupidity. They say there's no fool like an old fool, and Joe Jackass Brown is living proof of that. Yeah, family, it's going to be one of those morning briefings.
Okay, again, he was always this. This was not new. He was always this. Exactly. We like the infighting. So yeah, we want them to fight, and we're going to keep promoting them fighting. But again, he was always this guy. This is not something new. This is not something that he said out of left field. Like if somebody had asked me about this before I even heard him speak, I would say Drunk Joe Brown will be against Karmelo Anthony. Why? Because I done heard him enough to know that he would be against him. Like, again, this is not something new.
There's also another saying, adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. How much worse is that for people like Joe Brown, who have always been character deficient? He's a self-hating sellout, and if you disagree with that, then you're too dumb to be here. I would love to say that he's some sort of anomaly when it comes to black lawyers, but sadly he's not. He's quite typical of the kind of self-hating clowns you find among the Esquire class of black people in the legal profession. Not all of them are on the BS, but let's be honest, most of them are. This is why it's so difficult for black people to find a lawyer to defend them in court, because they have the same mentality as the prosecution.
If I were still practicing law and it was a private case, I wouldn't take it. I never would represent somebody that was an obvious coward.
And this has been the dirty little secret about black lawyers in America. They don't want to be the next Johnny Cochran, ostracized by white society, because, hey, that means that they don't get into those kind of social circles that they want into, and they may be cut out of some of those fees they would like to charge from certain white companies or certain well-heeled white clients. I'm no judge, but then again, Joe Brown isn't a judge either anymore, and maybe I should become one, though, because apparently I know more about the law than some of these so-called black lawyers who've been online spouting stupidity about the illegal railroading of Karmelo Anthony. He said that he remembers Batson v. Kentucky very well.
Batson versus Kentucky is the case. It's from the early 1980s. I'm very well aware of that case.
Well, clearly he doesn't know it too well because it was from 1986, which is in the mid-1980s, not the early 80s. Well, senile and demented as he is, I guess we should be glad that he got the decade right. But the boy can't read or count. I am truly embarrassed that this fool calls himself a black man.
We got a bunch of ad hominem attacks. Oh, let's see. Because again, you're attacking him based on just getting a date wrong. That's an ad hominem. He didn't even get the date wrong. He said, what did he say? Early 80s? This is mid 80s. To some people, mid 80s, early 80s, same thing. Like, what's your definition of mid or early? And again, the case was argued in the mid 80s. They could have been putting this together in the early 90s. The early 80s. Remember, he was a part of this. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Because he doesn't really qualify, and he hasn't qualified in some time. He dragged out every single pathetic talking point he could on this one, including claiming that he had spoken with some black jurors after the fact, people who he claims deliberately gave answers meant to get them excused from the jury because apparently they just didn't want to serve, according to him.
Certain people said to themselves, and I've talked with them after the fact, long after the fact, and they'll freely concede they didn't want to be bothered. They didn't want to spend all that time down there. They didn't want to be held up to risk and ridicule. So they said things they shouldn't have said that wound up getting them excluded for reasons outside of race.
Now we.
Yep. He's not wrong about that, because it was a bunch of black men who said things like that to get off the jury, but that's why everybody was making the issue about the black women who were excluded. Remember, there were 3 black women teachers who were excluded because they were teachers. The guy was arguing, well, they're teachers and this happened at a school, so they can't be neutral. Got them kicked off like that. That's why that was the issue. Those black men who got themselves kicked off by saying, oh, I can't convict a black man, or I'm too close to this as a black man. They got themselves kicked off. Yeah, so Drunk Joe Brown was right about that. So why are you about to talk about another case to try to refute that? See, this is sloppy. Student White Lies. This is sloppy.
Went over this last week. This is the standard deflection that anti-black racists like to use to justify black people being taken off of juries. By the way, these are the exact same scumbags who you see online saying, well, prosecutors need to go ahead and target black jurors to be removed because, well, black jurors are racially biased. No, that's a lie. It's these white jurors who are the ones who bring all of their racial baggage into the courtroom with them, which is exactly what these white prosecutors want. As I've documented for you on this channel, even if the claim was true that there were black people who just don't want to serve on the juries and that they deliberately give answers meant to get them struck from the jury, that's a dubious claim at best. But even if it was true, it doesn't change the fact that most black people who show up for jury duty do try to get on the jury, and that it's the prosecutors who consistently target these black jurors to be struck from the jury. It's not a matter of, oh, they were giving answers to get themselves struck. No, you got black folks who keep trying to get on the juries.
You nitpicking again. I'm with Dragon Blood TV on this. I don't bang with Drunk Joe Brown, not one bit. But again, this is a nitpick because again, he also talked about the black women who were kicked off for no reason. So why are you making it seem like he's claiming that there were no black people on that jury because they got themselves kicked off? They all got themselves kicked off, and this was some type of conspiracy theory, and that's a lie. And this is some type of conspiracy theory that he's somehow in cahoots with racist white prosecutors. This doesn't even make sense. This ain't good.
And the very first people who the prosecutors target are the black ones who are there. Once again, for the slow people like Short Bus Brown, the reason you don't have black people on the juries is that prosecutors consistently make it their top priority to target and strike black people from the jury. But you notice how Joe Brown is always the first one to blame black people, even when it makes no sense.
Again, he talked about that situation of black people doing that, which was true. It was black men who did that. And he also talked about the black women who didn't do that. And Carlette, I didn't know that, but I'm taking your word for it. There was a white woman on the jury that was an educator also. I'm jacking that. That's why everybody was making a big deal about the black women, because it made no sense. Why can't the black women be on the jury? All right, the black men didn't want to serve. That's cool. We had 3 sisters who wanted to be there and should have been there.
So why is he ready to jump out a window over this one when he didn't give a damn what happened to black people? He certainly wasn't this exercised over any of the black victims of white supremacist violence. I guess he thinks to himself that some white producer over at some network on cable, no doubt, is going to put him on court TV or something, give him another show. He can give that one up. You know, Malcolm would have agreed with Carmelo Anthony. Malcolm said to follow the law, respect everyone. Don't go starting any fights. But if someone attempts to put their hands on you, you make sure they only do it once. See, back in the 1950s and 60s, during the height of the civil rights movement, these white supremacists were consistently attacking black people. The beatings were constant. The killings were constant. And even then, you had professional butt kissers of their day, you know, the bootlick Browns of their day, blaming the black protesters and telling them, well, you shouldn't be fighting or anything. You shouldn't be doing anything. Malcolm said it. Nobody has the right to put their hands on you. And that was the reason why the white supremacists and the white media, which is the same thing, were calling Malcolm a radical. Oh, this is the hate that hate produced, that you stand up for yourself, that you exercise self-defense, that if somebody attempts to attack you, you make sure that your safety is secured no matter what. That's radical? Yeah, because it's black people. Anything that black people do that's meant to empower themselves, to safeguard themselves against white supremacist attacks, that's radical. They murder black people for just walking down the street like Elijah McClain, and I didn't see Joe Brown getting all worked up like this over that child's murder. When trash like Bernie Getz can gun down 4 black teenagers who didn't lay a finger on them, when garbage like Daniel Penny can sneak up behind someone and deliberately strangle them to death, and when walking feces like Rick Chow can chase and shoot a black teenager in the back, we're way past talking about fist fighting at this stage.
Also, yes, like we talked about before, Drunk Joe Brown was out here defending Daniel Penny. He was out here defending him. And guess what? None of y'all bozos had nothing to say about it. This is why I said, if you had just took a glance at Drunk Joe Brown, you knew he felt this way about Karmelo. He would have felt this way about Karmelo. But none of you bozos ever said anything about it. You're saying something about it now because you're clout chasing. But you never said anything about it before. You never said anything about it before. Also, family, does anybody use Venmo? Because I'm about to get rid of this. Because somehow I just got an email from Venmo talking about my account, something that my account has been suspended. Something suspicious happened with my account, and now they need my ID and all that. So yeah, I'm about to. I don't know. If people use Venmo, let me know. Because if not, I'm getting rid of that. That's insane. Yeah, Venmo could go. Shout out to everybody in the building. What'd you say? That's not true. That's not true. Whatever your name is, Coupon Nation. That's not true. Oh, Carla, you use Venmo? Is it any good? Is it worth my time trying to get this account unsuspended or no? Because I just made it. So I guess whoever the FBA bozos are attacking the account or whatever the case may be, is it worth my time? Yeah, let's just keep going.
Because this has been going on for decades. Black people understand that these anti-black racists are not trying to fight with their fists. So now you got black folks who are saying, okay, fists are out. And you can tell by the way this guy's talking, he's been spending a lot of time basically doing the, I'm the good Negro master, don't take away my TV show, I's the good Negro. You can tell he's been running that game for the longest time, and that's who he is at this point. You see, this is why in the nearly 20 years that I've been posting content on this platform, I can't remember any time that I posted a video that ever mentioned Buck Dancing Brown's name. When he
now you're going through his history to try to expose him again. Now you're trying to act like, oh, you never banged with him, you don't know him. That's cap. Because again, he was in Jason Black's DVD. He was in Tariq Nasheed's DVD. So what you saying? So again, now you trying to make it seem like you never was cool with Drunk Joe Brown. You delegitimizing yourself. Come on now. Oh, Carlette, you said it's worth it. So all right, I'm gonna try to get the account back because it's suspended because you said it's worth it. But yeah, Drunk Joe Brown. We again, I never banged with him. I always went against him, but I watched y'all big him up, and y'all was doing that to clout chase his celebrity.
He called himself running for political office. You'll notice that I didn't even give that scumbag so much as a retweet. Didn't mention his name for anything, not even to say, don't vote for this clown. And sure, he may have a...
Exactly. That means you're useless. Because if you see black people gravitating to this guy and you know he's no good and you don't say anything, what is the point of having you around? Because guess what? How many black people supported drunk Joe Brown over the years thinking he was really solid because they found out about him doing the quote unquote pro-black stuff via Tariq, via Jason Black. And they thought he was official. Why you ain't say nothing back then? The reason you ain't say nothing back then is because, one, you don't really care. Two, your fellow pro-black bozos, fake pro-black bozos, was making money with him. That's it. Drunk Joe Brown don't bang with y'all no more. He getting his own bag, selling his sauce and everything. So now you think it's okay to come out against him. But why you ain't say nothing before? Exactly. This is nothing new with him. And the guy, and Professor Black Truth just said he already always knew this, but he never said nothing. So why you never said nothing? Why? You just proved you're unprincipled. Because if you was principled, you would have said something. You would have said something.
Occasionally, when asked about this or that issue, he may have occasionally said one or two things that people could actually agree with, kind of as a fluke. But the truth is, Joe Brown has taken a number of positions over the decades that nobody would ever side with. He's gotten things wrong a hell of a lot more than he's gotten them right. And now at this point in his life, every time he opens his mouth, something stupid falls out. After his defense of Daniel Penny, he has no intellectual honesty or moral courage to speak to black people, period. That bastard went on a doggone tear, just posting nothing but open-hearted praise for a cowardly murderer. And this is the guy that he wants to call a man. He's calling him honorable and all the rest of it. The bastard snuck up behind an unarmed person on a train, somebody who he outweighed, outmuscled, all the rest of it, strangled the guy to death with other people saying, hey, let him go, let him go. And he refused to, even with other people saying, hey, you're killing the guy. They knew what was happening, and so did he. But bootlicking Joe Brown, he didn't see a problem with that. Why? He thought that was completely and thoroughly called for. There was no disproportionate force on that one. Oh, no, that wasn't a problem at all. Tells you where his mentality is. This clown is self-hating, period. And that's the reason why, even if you agreed with him on things, you could never really actually embrace this idiot because he got so much else wrong. You're like, you know what? I just can't. There's no way I can. Just can't.
Shout out to Naps. Everybody go subscribe to Naps channel. Yeah. Tariq probably did unleash the goons on him because maybe drunk Joe Brown might have been asking for some, hey, what's going on with some of these royalties for all these hidden colors? I need to see some residuals. You're making a lot of money over there. Exactly. Over the decades, what they was promoting him over the decades. They the ones who helped bring him into the pro-black space. Yes, he said that RBG for the win. Disgusting. Disgusting. He should be ashamed of himself. And everybody who supported him, knowing he said that, should be ashamed of himself. Remember, drunk Joe, Professor Black Truth said he already knew drunk Joe Brown was talking like this. Why he ain't make no videos about it? Why he ain't make no videos about it if he already knew?
There's a reason those white people in the white media gave this clown a TV show. The white media does brain typing where they feel you out. They check to see what kind of person they're dealing with, what kind of mentality you got. If they gave this person a TV or a radio show like Karen Mammy Hunter, then that was because the bootlick in question assured them that they would toe the line. This is why we don't keep company with these so-called black celebrities, because this is...
But the reason y'all was following behind him is because he was a black celebrity. Y'all was following behind him because he was a black celebrity. Now you're using this as a way to bash black celebrities, even though you was following behind him because he's a black celebrity. You were following behind Tariq. Tariq is a black celebrity. He may be a Z-list black celebrity, but a black celebrity nonetheless. That's where his initial following came from, because Tariq was a celebrity. And then he grifted his way into the pro-black stuff. Come on now. Come on.
The kind of time they're on. Tell me something. At any point, did Jackass Joe ever make a legal argument?
Exactly. Attacking Karen Hunter now. For what? He just had to figure out a way to attack a black woman.
Against Carmelo Anthony? I didn't hear it. I don't think you could either. Whining that Carmelo was seated somewhere in a venue that's open to the public, that's not a legal argument because there's no violation of law. In fact, there's no law anywhere that prohibits anything that Karmelo Anthony did, including using a weapon to defend himself. But there are laws that prohibit people from threatening other people. There are laws that prohibit you from menacing people or assaulting them. Everything that the attacker, Austin Metcalf, did. There are laws about that, but Bootlick Brown doesn't mention them. Gee, I wonder why. And whenever there's some white cop who gets sent to prison for harming a black person, you've never heard Jackass Brown expressing the idea, well, I hope they wreck him. He's never done that, not even once. Yeah, because the white media types that he's trying to kiss the rumps of, they wouldn't like that. He knows that. So as far as he's concerned, well, I got to say that for the black community. I've got to think about myself, don't you know?
Exactly, Carlette. Nobody had a problem with drunk Joe Brown and all the stuff he was saying. Until I pointed it out. Because again, I never once heard none of these bozos talk about the Daniel Penny thing he was talking about before. Never heard none of them talk about it. Till I talked about it.
And that's where he's coming from. For any of these black attorneys out there who might be in the sound of my voice, you want to know why it is that you guys don't get much respect from the community? This is the reason why. Because between trash like Joe Brown and garbage like Sleaze Merritt and idiots like Jasmine Crockett and Mushmouth Crump and these other step and fetch a courtroom clowns, this is why.
How dare you put Representative Jasmine Crockett and attorney Benjamin Crump in the same category as Young Joe Brown? How dare you? And again, black people do respect lawyers. What you mean? Like, there ain't no black person who's a lawyer and black people looking at them like, oh, we don't respect you. That sounds like some type of racist stereotype of the black community where like somehow black people don't respect educated black people.
Black citizens really don't feel like black lawyers have any real expertise or knowledge. These fools are not running any sort of legal practice. They're just running a courtroom hustle, charging people a lot of money for doing very little. And these clowns are revealing what they believe and where they always stood. You want to know why it is that even black defendants feel like they might as well get themselves a white lawyer? This is why.
If I were still practicing law and it was a private case, I wouldn't take it. I never would represent somebody that was an obvious coward.
Too many black lawyers have as much contempt for black people's rights as these white supremacist DAs and judges do. They don't give any sort of legal defense because they're as anti-black as the prosecutors. See, we're starting to get a window as to why it is that the family of Karmelo Anthony might have had the problems that they had with these black lawyers. So you should go ahead and get a white one. This is what they're admitting to. They start off from the standpoint of a black person has no right to self-defense. The only time these scumbags will pretend to want to stick up for black people is if there's a civil suit that they think they can get paid off of. Then,
oh, shout out to somebody. I just seen it. Somebody donated to me on Cash App. Drop yourself in the comment if you want to be known. Like, because I know, like I said, like you can hit me on the PayPal, the Cash App if you don't want people to see your donation. So, again, I just received a donation. It wasn't just this now. I just looked at I just got the message now. Around like 12:19, somebody donated to me on the Cash App. So just let me know if you want to be seen. But if you don't want to be seen, thank you so much. Much appreciated. And family, you can donate too if you want to. Whole lot of ones beat a whole lot of nuns. PayPal, Cash App, super thanks, super chat, gifts. I take it all. Thank you.
They'll pretend to be concerned about black people's rights because they stand to make a lot of money off of a contingency, as opposed to a black citizen in a criminal case. This is what these bastards are being taught in these law schools.
Because she's a Democrat and she's a black woman. That's why.
This is the culture of the black boule wannabes. The same way white prosecutors have an unwritten but deeply entrenched practice of teaching you that you got to target black people, these black lawyers also have an unspoken but deeply entrenched practice of ignoring black people's rights, unless there's some civil suit they think they can get paid off of. Have we learned nothing from Mushmouth Crump and Sleaze Merritt? And Jackass Joe wasn't the only one. There's been some other sorry Negroes who have been repeating the same line. That's how you know that these idiots, they're all on code against the black community. If someone calls themselves a lawyer, but then attacks a black person for defending themselves within the bounds of the law, they're just a coward in the courtroom. The law is on Karmelo Anthony's side, but what's not on his side is the legal system. He should never have been arrested, never been charged, and never been convicted because he broke no law. Austin Metcalf was the one who broke the law, several of them. But notice that nobody ever tries to defend that overgrown thug. Notice that Jackass Joe wasn't defending Austin Metcalf because he couldn't. Nobody ever tries to say, well, Austin Metcalf was in the right. He should have been threatening that boy. You got every right to threaten somebody. Those bleachers belong to him, don't you know? He had the right to run somebody out of there. Those were his bleachers. They don't say that because they can't. Nobody even tries to lie and say that Metcalf had the right to act the way that he was doing or to speak the way that he was speaking. Instead, they just want to focus on Karmelo Anthony, who broke.
That is true, Naps. That is true. Drunk Joe Brown is a part of Black history, and he did participate in some major Black civil rights cases, as far as I know, if I'm remembering correctly. And he is just a grifter now. Yeah, he's just a drunk and a grifter now. FBA is totally anti-intellectual.
No law by being there, who broke no law by warning the violent thug Austin not to approach him, and who broke no law by using the amount of force necessary to secure his safety. Any of you Black lawyers out there who consider yourselves to be on code, you look at the so-called Black lawyers who feel bold enough to speak on this. These creeps are all against the Black right of self-defense, and you get plastered with that brush for saying nothing. Because you don't see the white lawyers out there saying that a white person should go to prison for killing a Black person in self-defense. They don't do that. It is cowardly to be defending a blatant racial double standard. Everyone gets bold about attacking Black people for daring to exercise their rights because they know that there's no penalty for doing so. In fact, white supremacy incentivizes and rewards people for spouting anti-Black sentiment and even committing anti-Black violence. And there's a whole lot of sorry Negroes lined up, desperately hoping they can get some crumbs from Massa's plate of butter biscuits. This is what you expect from somebody who praises the cowardly killer Daniel Penny. And sure, he contradicts himself, but it doesn't matter. The audience that he's performing for isn't a Black one. It's a white audience that he hopes sees this. Surely he thinks to himself that there's some white producer somewhere, maybe on CNN, certainly on Fox News or Court TV or what have you, and that they'll see him doing this quote unquote hot take and they'll put him on the air just for a segment. That's what he's doing this for. I can only assume those residual checks from his TV show must have dried up. I don't
think so. Again, like I said, this is drunk Joe Brown. This is who he is. This is who he always been. He ain't doing this for no money. This is him. This is him. Yeah, he grifted the pro-Black people. That's a fact. But as far as this type of talk, this is no grift. This is him.
Out here hawking some barbecue sauce these days. Well, I bet it goes great with butter biscuits. Remember the case of the brutal beating that a Black girl sustained at Shawnee Mission East High School in Kansas a couple of years back? There was a white classmate who beat her so badly he broke her nose and she had to take time to recover. This assailant who attacked her was bigger than her, stronger than her, and all the rest. Nobody said that he should have walked away. Notice that? Now, if this child who was being brutally beaten had pulled a weapon to defend herself, you can bet that Bootlick Brown would be saying she was wrong for that. Let me make this crystal clear. Joe Brown is walking garbage, and he's been trashed for a very long time. If you like Bootlick Brown, then you can unsubscribe from me. Don't follow me. Don't post anything in my comments. Get lost. As Dr. Joseph Ben-Yakinen said, if you're with that bastard, then you're not with me. And speaking of things he's not a part of, he's not on TV anymore. He doesn't really have anything going, to be honest. And yet, look at what he's doing. Talk about going out sad. He's out here bootlicking and kissing white supremacist rumps like he's getting paid $1 million a day. And he's doing all of it for free. Not because he thinks that he's going to get himself another TV show or finally break into politics. He tried and failed to do that. He's doing this because this is what he's always believed. He has nothing but contempt for Black society. He always is.
I'm the one who said that this was always what he believed. So again, why are you saying that you just contradicted yourself? You said he's doing this to try to get on TV or trying to get some money out of racist white people. Now you're saying this is just something he always believed. Like I always was saying, this is something he always believed. This is not new. Not new at all.
Seen himself as being better than the rest of Black America, when in reality, he's part of the problem. This is why, as the Black media, we constantly tell you not to let your heart go pitter-pat just because some Black celebrity occasionally might say something that you happen to agree with. They talk all the time. A stop clock is right twice a day. I always make sure to point out that Black celebrities only think of Blackness in personal terms. They have nothing but contempt for the black community. Their idea of black is specific only to themselves. They're not with us. Jackass Brown belongs in the same pathetic company as other self-hating Negroes like David Clark and Clarence Thomas. Bootlick Brown is just that low. This old coot talks about honor. That's a word he doesn't know the meaning of. Keep in mind, America is not an honorable country.
Me too. I always like Benjamin Crump. I like him. He's fighting and he's getting things done. He's getting actual W's. He didn't spend 20 years online contradicting himself and putting out misinformation. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. Exactly. And Jams, exactly. Disrespecting Benjamin Crump for no reason. That's why I have no respect for these people. I have no respect for them or the people who follow them. Shout out for Fahima in the building. Yeah, I have no respect for these people. You got real black people sitting around here actually doing the job, fighting for our people, while y'all sit on the internet getting rich, just contradicting yourself and misleading our people.
And people like Austin Metcalf are not honorable. When you threaten people, when you start menacing them and you attack them, that's not honorable behavior. This decrepit bastard, though, he praised Daniel Penny of all people, someone who snuck up behind an unarmed man who had not attacked him or anyone else and then strangled him to death. That's not courageous. It takes no courage to sneak up behind someone, especially when the person's smaller and weaker than you. That takes no courage. And it's not honorable. He was a coward. What was honorable about anything Daniel Penny did? Did he actually face Jordan Neely face to face? Of course not. He snuck up behind him like a coward. Carmelo Anthony didn't sneak up behind his attacker. He warned his attacker not to come any closer. And then when he actually fought him, it was face to face. That is honor. That is moral and it's honest. He did not come up to the guy and say, we're going to fight. Instead, he said the opposite. Let's not fight. But if you decide that you're going to try to bring a fight to me, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect myself. Austin Metcalf thought because he was bigger than Carmelo Anthony, he thought to himself that he could be a bully. He found out that he couldn't. But of course, Bootlick Brown never addresses Austin Metcalf's behavior. It's completely and thoroughly overlooked when he was the one who drove this entire tragic incident. Morality, honesty, these are concepts that Bootlick Brown doesn't care about. He praises a cowardly murderer like Daniel Penny and condemns an honorable young man who did everything that he could to avert a conflict. There was no way that Carmelo Anthony could have been more restrained than he was. He showed ultimate restraint beyond all reason, certainly beyond the law. But we know this wasn't about law, it was about race. This is the final verdict on Joe Bootlick Brown. He's doing this mess because he cares about the opinion of white supremacist society more than he does the right of self-defense for black people. If Carmelo Anthony had fought this overgrown oaf, you better believe Joe Brown would have been the first one to condemn him, saying, these kids were supposed to be at a football practice, and they start fist fighting. This is what's wrong with society today. These kids ain't got no kind of discipline. That's what he'd be saying. If he wasn't attacking Carmelo for using a weapon to defend himself, he would have been attacking him for something else. These morons can whine about the outcome of that incident all they want, but what happened to Austin Metcalf was his own doing. He was the person who caused the entire incident to happen. He kept instigating and escalating the situation until it went where it went. There wouldn't even have been an argument, much less any bloodshed, had it not been for Austin Metcalf. The outcome was all his doing. When you choose to start a fight with a complete stranger, you can't dictate the consequences, which is why the law says you're not supposed to do it. You know, the law, that little book of rules that says it's illegal to threaten someone or to menace them, which is what Austin did when he stormed up in Carmelo's face, and you certainly can't lay a hand on him. That's assault and battery. Carmelo did none of those things. Austin Metcalf did all of them. He broke the law repeatedly. But your black lawyers conveniently forget about that. Keep in mind, the sorry Negroes you've seen the last week or so defending this racial railroading, many of these clowns have been trying and failing to become big shot attorneys. When you see them in real life, make sure you show them as much respect as they showed to a 17-year-old who was lawfully defending himself from a violent thug. Corey Pujols defended himself and his co-workers against a racist who had raped children, by the way. John White protected his family against a teenage white supremacist mob, and he was maliciously prosecuted and illegally incarcerated. Anyone remember how Joe Brown praised John White for protecting his family like a man? Me neither. And the reason that Carmelo Anthony is getting
Exactly. Why are you not connecting him? Why are you not calling him out for being a Trump supporter? You just conveniently overlooked that. Exactly, Carlette. And you know what's also funny? They've been attacking Emmett Till lately. Racist white people been attacking Emmett Till lately. Oh, I'm definitely getting you out of here. Blocked. Let me see. Yeah, that's a ban. You ban. You says you disrespected Owen Wilder. That's a ban. You out of here. Shout out to everybody in the building. Yeah, they've been attacking him too. Yeah. They never said nothing about him being a super duper Republican, even though all the racist stuff the Republican Party has been doing to black people. Said nothing about it.
The support that he's gotten is precisely because of all of these other incidents where assaults and even killings have been allowed to go on with no legal repercussions. Unless the laws are equally applied, you're a coward and a liar to tell black people that they were convicted for violating the law. Without the laws being equally applied, the laws have no legitimacy. And without legitimacy, you can't act as if the laws are valid. But that's what these black lawyers are doing. They're auditioning. They're hoping some white person in the media or in this or that political party is going to notice them and throw them some crumbs. That's the only reason to be out here ignoring the facts of the Carmelo Anthony self-defense case and lying by omission. He had every right to be where he was. He had every right to stand his ground. And once he was attacked, he had every right to use whatever level of force necessary to secure his safety. He warned the attacker not to touch him. Once that line was crossed, the consequences were the consequences. Had Carmelo been white and Austin black, the same pathetic bootlick jackass Joe Brown would be saying, "He came down them stairs and attacked that boy. What did he think was going to happen? This is why the hood is so violent today. People need to teach their boys not to go starting fights with strangers. You attack someone, you've accepted the risk that they may be armed, so you need to keep your hands to yourself." That's what he would be saying. And we all know that's what he would say because any piece of walking feces who's perverted enough to defend the cowardly murder of Jordan Neely is someone who'll defend any act of anti-black violence. The entire point of stand your ground laws and concealed carry laws and open carry laws was meant to embolden white supremacists to carry out killings of black people. It was meant to encourage that. These were supposed to be the legal framework by which ordinary white supremacists on the street, like Chud the Builder, could just run up on a black person, instigate a confrontation, and then kill that black person and turn around and say, "I was just standing my ground with my..."
Look at this. You just stole my whole video. This bozo just stole my whole video. Now you went from calling out drunk Joe Brown to calling him out about always being this way, calling him out for defending Daniel Penny. Now you talking about standing your ground and how these laws were racist and how they were designed to make it so that people could kill black people with impunity. This is what I've been talking about for days about the stand your ground thing. I was talking about it years ago, but since it's recently back in the news, I've been talking about it for days. Y'all never covered it. Now you're covering it. You just literally stole my whole video. Me too. I cannot watch these FBA videos on my own. That's why a lot of times when I'm playing these videos, these are my first time seeing them. Like, I refuse. I'm not watching no more FBA content on my own. If I got to watch it, we all going to watch it together. Yes, I can't. I can't stomach this anymore. And he just stole my whole he just stole everything. That's my whole analysis. You just stole it. You just stole my whole analysis. Crazy. Shout out to the hood mistress in the building. Yep. They gave him that because it was clout chasing his celebrity.
Illegally carried weapon, but they never intended for any black person like a Corey Pujols or a Carmelo Anthony to invoke those laws. And they do everything they can to selectively prosecute and imprison black people, no matter how justified the circumstances. Because this is not about law. It's about the same thing it always is: race. This is why as black people, we have situations where we want to file lawsuits. We want to go to court to fight for our rights, but when we look around for a black lawyer, we see them trying to play the game of ingratiating themselves with white society. Jasmine Crockett bragged about being a lawyer, and what the hell she ever done for anyone, anywhere at any time? You got fools like Sleaze Merritt, another self-interested bootlick, and just like Jackass Brown, Sleaze Merritt also tried and failed to run for political office. This is why the bootlicks are also going to lose. Just like the white supremacists they patterned themselves after, they don't have any new plays in their playbook either. So they just do the same old thing, only more of it. Now, I wouldn't doubt at all that at some point Jackass Brown will probably come across this video. He's barged into the comments on my Twitter page in the past, so unlike the cowardly punk bootlick Brown, I don't tell lies of omission, and everything I've said about him are facts. He doesn't need to try to...
You did lie through omission, because again, you made it seem like drunk Joe Brown was saying that all the black jurors weren't on the case because they didn't want to be. They disqualified themselves, and he didn't say that. You said by only playing that part of the clip, you lied through omission. What if I didn't watch this whole drunk Joe Brown interview and I only saw what you said about him, what you played about him? I would be confused because of your lines through omission.
Explain the garbage he said because it's indefensible. I don't know what people in the white media or white government he's desperately been trying to impress, and I don't care. This latest reprehensible rant that he went on, this was just the final nail into the coffin of whatever ragged tatters of a reputation he might have hoped to salvage.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's like warriors used to say, he's on our side, but he fought dishonorably. You do what you want to do with him. We have no part with it because we cannot be associated with dishonor and cowardness.
Cowardness, indeed. I used to say we would have to invent an entirely new vocabulary to describe how dumb Jackass Brown is, but it looks like he's done that for us. Well, how ironic that the black grassroots looks at you the exact same way, bootlick Brown. You were one of us, and now...
Wait, you just said you always knew you had to come up with a new term for him, but you just said you never covered none of the stuff he was saying. You said you already let's bring that back a little bit because this video is almost over. Let's bring that back a little bit.
With dishonor and cowardness.
Cowardness, indeed. I used to say we would have to invent an entirely new vocabulary to describe how dumb Jackass Brown is, but
when you used to say that, you just said you never covered him when he was doing all the stuff he was doing. Now you're saying you already had to come up with a new vocabulary to describe him. You're contradicting yourself.
Looks like he's done that for us. Well, how ironic that the black grassroots looks at you the exact same way, bootlick Brown. You were one of us, and now you've been cast out. And when the...
Now he was one of you. But again, you said you knew this whole time that he was a fraud and he was defending the indefensible, but he was still one of you.
White supremacists you've been so pathetically trying to ingratiate yourself with inevitably decide it's time to peel the skin off your cowardly hide. Just remember, this is who you chose to be your friends. They can have you. We damn sure don't want you. And he sounds ridiculous as hell talking about warriors. Is that how this wrinkled up reprobate sees himself? He talks like he thinks he's John Wayne or something. You can tell this clown has a very active imagination. What a joke. Well, bootlick Brown, you're no warrior. You're just an old wrinkled...
Timbo Slice. Oh, I got to look into this. I didn't hear nothing about this $100 million reparations package. Yeah, we got to look into that.
Up TV personality with delusions of grandeur. If you actually believe that warrior crap you spout, then you'd understand a warrior doesn't initiate a fight like Austin Metcalf did. A warrior only fights when necessary, like Carmelo Anthony did. A warrior also respects his opponents so long as they don't attack him. Austin Metcalf showed no respect for anyone, certainly not for a young man who hadn't done anything to him. A warrior doesn't run around threatening complete strangers and starting fights for no reason. Austin Metcalf did, and he was not honorable. And a warrior must be prepared to die at any time, right? Ain't that the warrior ethos? I mean, if you're going to be saying that warrior claptrap, you got to stick to all of it, right? So do we accept that as the cost of being a warrior? Because Bootlick Brown is imitating these white media types that he so desperately wishes he could be one of. He's trying to do the same thing they always do. He wants to pick and choose when his words are going to apply. When he thinks it's to his advantage, well, it's supposed to be like this, and the rest of the time he ignores it. And that word warrior, it doesn't even sound right coming out of his mouth, and I'm talking about more than his slow as hell drawl. Bootlick Brown could never be a warrior, not as a young man, nor at any point in human history. Because someone like him, he would be the first one to surrender to the enemy, or he would be the first to collaborate with them. And with this latest disgraceful display, he's done both. These racists would never and have never said of any white supremacist, he's one of ours, but he fought cowardly, so, you Negroes can have him. They always circle the wagons for these white supremacist attackers, like Daniel Penny, who snuck up behind someone half his size and strangled him to death, and who Bootlick Brown praised. Karmelo Anthony didn't do that. He fought his attacker face to face. But this is what this piece of walking excrement called honor. And every time this degenerate dares to call himself a black man, it removes a ton of credibility from a cowardly scumbag who didn't have an ounce to begin with. Court's adjourned.
That was corny, and that was a waste of time. Shout out to everybody still in the building. I can't believe this bozo. I can't believe him. I can't. Like, you're really a bozo. Like, I can't make this up. Like, you just contradicted yourself. You stole my whole analysis. This was weird. But anyway, let's move on. Shout out to everybody in the building. I wanted to cover this. I think this is Poetik Flakko going at Oshay Duke Jackson. Like, he talks about a bunch of things in this video. I heard because somebody sent it to me. I think it was Lee. But he goes at Oshay Duke Jackson in this. So let's take a look at this.
A large number of Godfrey fans are really upset at him, and they're turning on him after this recent interview with a Nigerian actor called David Oyelowo. In this episode, they discussed the sport wars currently going on social media. Now, the actor is Nigerian, born in Nigeria, grew up in the UK. However, he was afforded the luxury to play roles like MLK and other roles that Black Americans felt like belonged to Black American actors. So the clips of them discussing him playing MLK in a...
You already starting off wrong, Poetik Flakko. The only people who had a problem with this was a bunch of FBA bozos who really don't even care. They just was looking for a reason to be xenophobes. That's it. That's it. So yeah, you started that off wrong.
Backlash he received for playing Black American roles went viral on social media. And when it went viral, essentially what they said triggered a lot of Black Americans, and it caused an uproar. And a lot of Godfrey fans are pissed off at him for this conversation.
Way, way, way better and way, way, way more powerful together than we are apart. Yes. And I truly think so much
exactly
of that mindset is born out of insecurity. You never see them coming after a Brit playing that kind of role when it's a failure. It's only.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. You never heard none of these FBA bozos attack somebody, Black immigrant playing in an American role when the show is a failure, or they don't think it's gonna be big, or it doesn't seem like it's gonna be legendary. This is hate. I pointed that out before. I said these FBA bozos is like the person who says, "Hey, people could come play basketball with us." And then you come play basketball, you start beating them in basketball, and instead of just saying, "Hey, I got you next time, you beat me this time, but next time you ain't gonna beat me," they start talking about, "Hey, why are you even over here? Why are you even coming to our park? You don't live in this neighborhood. This is our neighborhood. This is our park. Why is he even here?" When you wasn't talking like that when you thought you could beat me. You wasn't talking like that when I didn't look like I could do much of anything. Now I'm busting your ass. Now it's why you here. This is our park. Like ridiculous.
Only when it's a success. If there's box office and if there's awards, then is the time where you go, I want a piece of that. Well, let's collaborate. So that's why I get everyone to the house. Yeah. Where we have those conversations. Andre Holland, brilliant actor, trained. Coleman Domingo, brilliant. I've seen that dude on stage.
Exactly. Like, again, these guys are so weird. You can't make it up. Yes, that's another thing. British actors, I'm mad at Garfield for even bringing this up to the brother. Like, you got this amazing actor on stage and you talking to him about some FBA nonsense. Like, we can't be wasting time without that. We know who got the hot hand with acting right now. It is the Black Brits. And on top of that, whatever system they got going on over there in the UK is working. Remember, one of our greatest, Denzel Washington. What did he do? He paid for Chadwick Boseman to go learn acting in the UK. When I first saw Chadwick Boseman, I thought he was from the UK. I thought he was because he was so good at acting. And like he had that presence. I thought he was from the UK. No, he was from America. Brother went to Howard and he went to the UK to learn acting. They got a good system there. We had a good system before in the Black community that produced a lot of our greatest. That's not there no more. And that system was called church. Remember, most of our best Black actors came out the church. Just like a lot of our best singers came out the church, a lot of our best actors came out the church, doing stage plays in the church. Or doing stage plays that was connected to theater. Remember, Denzel, Halle Berry, Samuel L. Jackson, all of them started acting, doing stage plays like the British actors do. That's where they learned acting from. A lot of Black actors in America, native Black American actors, they skip the theater. They just want to go straight to the movies. That's why they don't got it. That's why they don't got it.
The success he's being afforded is absolutely warranted. It's the work.
Here's the problem that I identified. Because Tariq Nasheed and his crew are a loud minority, that whenever a non-Black American gets fair critique from Black Americans, they automatically identify that critique with Tariq Nasheed and his crew, so they dismiss the critique.
Exactly. First of all, that's not what's happening here, but that is what happens in other situations. And I told people, I warned people about this back in 2018 and 2019. I warned people. I said, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be a vocal minority. Keep doing this and complaining about everything. And it's going to come a time when legitimate issues come up and it's time for legitimate critique. People will be able to brush it off or duck the smoke by just claiming, oh, that's just FBA. That's just FBA. That's just FBA. Real Black Americans don't got no problem with what I did. Oh, yeah, it wasn't even that deep. That only people complaining is FBA. Oh, you have a problem with what I did? You must be FBA. That's coming. That already started, by the way. Where now when people call people out for certain things that they say, just like Cynthia Erivo. I remember when she first was being called out for some of her comments on Twitter, that ain't had nothing to do with no FBA. But what happened? When she came back around and people try to criticize her again, here come FBA. Why are you playing Harriet Tubman? Why are you playing Harriet Tubman? Why are you playing Harriet Tubman? Then the whole critique became about, oh, this is not about any tweets or anything like that. This is just people being upset because I'm Nigerian and I'm playing Harriet Tubman. These are just a bunch of haters. No need to pay attention to anything that anybody says about me. And then guess what? She got to skate her way through that whole controversy. And now she here. Shout out to Cynthia Erivo. Because again, I didn't think it was that deep at first. I think it was more of her trying to be a comedian. And it didn't hit. It didn't land.
So is a fair critique. And I don't think that's fair. Because I don't think the majority of Black Americans identify with Tariq Nasheed and his philosophy. I don't think the majority of Black Americans believe if you are a baby and you're born in Africa, you're born musty. I don't think that like there's not a sentiment from the Black Americans I speak to. The Black Americans I speak to will hear some nonsense like that and they will get pissed off and they will get upset because that's bigotry at its finest, right? But when they give fair critique, they automatically identify that critique with Tariq Nasheed, so then they dismiss it. Well, no, right? Black Americans just don't want a non-Black American playing Martin Luther King Jr. MLK is a Black American hero. They hold his legacy really sacred.
Again, that's not true. Because again, nobody Black has a problem with that. Just like nobody Black in America had no problem. Nobody was telling none of the Black actors, because I think we had like about 6 Native Black American actors play Nelson Mandela. Nobody said, hey, don't play Nelson Mandela, because we wouldn't want no South Africans coming over here and playing Martin Luther King. So don't play Nelson Mandela. That never happened. As far as I know right now, Ryan Coogler is doing a movie about Mansa Musa, and Michael B. Jordan is supposed to be in it. You think if somebody said, hey, why are you doing this movie? You're not from Africa. You think Ryan Coogler is gonna be like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this movie because it would be hypocritical of me to do this movie because we have, as Black Americans, been complaining about Black British people doing our movies. Like, come on, man, that doesn't even make any sense. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened to the comedy shows. Like, yeah, Comedy Central and all that other stuff, they needed to bring that stuff back. A lot of our greatest came via stand-up. That's how you really steel sharpen steel. That's how you really get your weight up and perfect your craft. That's why I said a lot of our best singers and stuff like that came up through the church. That's how you learned how to perform in front of an audience. That's how you had professionals teaching you in choir rehearsal how to sing, how to hold a note, how to do this, how to do that. A lot of the people skipping past all that. And they're just trying to go straight to the fame. And that's why they unpolished. Exactly. No, that's why I said this is a non-issue. Nobody ever complained about anybody Black playing another Black person. And it all goes both ways. Like, nobody complained about this. This is some weirdo nonsense that they just tried to make up just to justify their xenophobia. Exactly. Black is Black.
And they just don't want anybody who's not Black American playing Martin Luther King Jr. I feel like that's a fair critique, and that critique should not just be dismissed or thrown to the side or grouped in with the bigotry that belongs on the other, right? Because the majority of Black Americans don't agree with whatever's going on over there, but they can say that, yeah, we believe MLK and his legacy is sacred, and we don't want anybody else playing MLK but us. And I feel like that's fair. But much of what I heard from this dude is essentially him dismissing that, him trying to talk above him, and being a tad bit condescending. Bro really said it's rooted in jealousy. I don't think they jealous of you, bro.
Yes, it is rooted in jealousy. And again, Poetik Flakko, this is how you got roasted last time. This is how the FBA was able to get you last time. You sitting here legitimizing FBA nonsense, and then when you go at FBA, they're gonna just show clips of you agreeing with them. Like, come on now. Exactly. They just don't want you playing MLK or any other Black American heroes.
And I was looking for community. And to be perfectly honest, I met a lot of African American actors who, as I started to gain a bit of success, I could tell they felt threatened by my presence, by what I was being afforded, that they felt they should be being afforded.
Oh man.
And I was terrified because I had just now been afforded the opportunity to play Oprah Winfrey and Forrest Whitaker's son in The Butler. It was a very juicy role. I stood there, Cuba Gooding's over there, Terrence Howard's over there, like all these actors. And I was just like, oh boy, am I gonna be okay?
Y'all see what I mean though? He dismissed any and all critique as jealousy. Now, I do believe things like MLK.
But FBA opened the door to that. Again, if people try to dismiss, like say if this happened 20 years ago, he wouldn't have been able to just dismiss it as jealousy. But because it's happening now, he can do it. Because again, a lot of the FBA bozos are just jealous and hateful.
Malcolm X, Farrakhan, like a Ghanaian playing Farrakhan is crazy. It's Farrakhan. But if we're talking about
why would that be crazy? Especially being that Farrakhan is from the Caribbean. See, this is about people trying to make this argument. They don't even know who is who. Y'all don't even know who is who. That's why this argument don't hold no weight in America. Nobody knows who is who and nobody cares.
General role. Any American speaking English roles, if we're saying that a Nigerian, a Ghanaian, a Caribbean a black guy from the UK, if we're saying that they are not even allowed to ever be in Hollywood or to ever exist.
Exactly, Daps. Exactly. Like, they never learn. They never learn. Poetik Flakko, another one, not learning. Not learning at all. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the building for still rocking with me at this time of night. I didn't even realize it was this late.
Now, that's wrong. But there should be room to have this discussion. Hey, we allow y'all to eat, y'all doing y'all thing, but let's not start poaching movie roles like Farrakhan, Malcolm X, MLK, things that are sacred to our culture. Let's not do that. Right? Because, again, like the Nigerian would have the same backlash and the same critique if a black American goes to Nigeria and get like a really coveted role in Nollywood, and they're made to play like a Nigerian president or somebody. Nigerians will be the first one to tell you, man, now hell no, what you mean? And if he's honest, he will tell you, bruh, a black American can't go to Nigeria and play like a coveted Nigerian role of like a historical Nigerian figure. They not having it. They'll be the first one to tell you, hell nah. So yeah, that should be the same thing. Like black Americans should have the space to say, MLK, these other sacred roles is for us, not for you. But I also don't think they should also be barred from any and all roles, period, Now, they got to the Drewski skit where Drewski made fun of like the...
Like, come on. I'm not jacking this. Again, if black people in America was always like that, where they was like, we not playing certain roles because we wouldn't want other people to play certain roles from us, then I would respect it. But I'm not respecting this Johnny come lately nonsense, especially when I know it's rooted in FBA hatred. Like, no. Oh, shout out to Kong Guru in the building with the $4.99. No, they would say he's not FBA because they're going to say he fled. His people fled America, so you can't be FBA if you're a fleer. The same way they disrespected Harriet Tubman and the black people who went to Canada, talking about they fled. Disgusting.
British actors who like take on American roles. Now, he said he found the skit funny, but you could tell from his explanation, he ain't find a goddamn thing funny about that Drewski skit whatsoever.
If we link arms like Jewish people do, like Chinese people do,
hell yeah.
Like if we do that rather than fixating on the fact that, yeah, we have a smaller piece of the pie, we do. And as a result, when a black Brit gets that role, what we're talking about is not of acting. We're talking about scarcity. We're talking about the fact that there's not much pie. So when someone gets it, it's like, you're now taking a piece that makes me feel like I can't access that piece.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that with white British actors in the Hollywood constellation because the pie is vast.
So do you think like when Drewski goes out there and he does that whole skit that's gone viral, it's funny.
Yeah.
Where he's the British guy, he goes out there. And does that kind of add fuel to the fire? Because I mean, it's a thing. You're starting to hear more and more of it.
Yeah.
And it's why we started 154. Like, it's to bring all of it. There's one continent, 54 countries, but really it's bigger. It's one diaspora that's centered around who we are as people. But yet there's these micro fractures of, but they're from the UK or they're from, they're immigrants from Africa.
Yeah. My thing is, I have adopted the stance of I have to let my work do the talking. There's many things in the world that I don't like, that I don't agree with, but my answer to that,
to the Drewski
thing, is to start a streaming platform with an African American like Nate Parker.
They looking too deep into it. The Drewski thing was jokes. It was a skit about how British actors.
Yes, the Drewski thing was a joke, but again, they not the brother is not from America, and he's seeing all that FBA nonsense on the internet. How do he know that Drewski was really joking? And again, a lot of people, a lot of FBA bozos is using the skit as proof that, yeah, this is not a joke. This is real. We got a problem with these people.
On camera, they would act like the biggest LA gang member, then off camera, they like straight, pip pip cherry-o, and you feel me? Like it's hilarious, yo. Here's the thing, bro. We gotta find a way as immigrants to distinguish between jokes and bigotry. Straight.
There was a way to do that before. It was working perfectly good. Again, black immigrants have been in America for over 120 years. We never had this problem before. This is something that the FBA bozos is starting again, because this is a white nationalist psyop. It's a white nationalist psyop. Shout out to everybody in the building. White nationalist psyop.
Straight up, bro. The Drewski thing is a joke. Sitting there doing a 30-page dissertation on why the Drewski thing is harmful towards this and how you gotta let your work speak for yourself and you gotta rise above the hatred and rise above the critique. It was a skit, homie. It was a skit. You gotta distinguish between the jokes and the bigotry. I can show you some bigotry. I can show you some bigotry, bro. Go on Twitter and just scroll. You gonna see real bigotry. But the humor and we can't mix up the two. We just can't, bro. We just can't, man. Drewski did a funny skit. The skit should be held there. Now, real bigotry is an African braiding shop doing something that, that was wrong and appalling. And then Tariq and Nasheed and other content creators start this whole boycott all African businesses.
There's some truth to that. Yeah, people got to do a better job distinguishing the two and understand the difference between FBA and other people like Drewski joking. Well, yeah, keep going.
Man, do something. We ain't never seen boycott all white businesses, but boycott all African businesses because one African business did something. The Drewski skit is humor. Real bigotry is saying that an entire group of people shouldn't be able to make.
That's a fact. That's a fact. RBG for the win. That's a fact. He definitely did get that from Key and Peele.
A living and feed their families and start a business. And
word for word, bar for bar. Even the scene with them being in the car.
They want those businesses shut down because they belong to an immigrant group. That's real bigotry. That's wrong. Real bigotry, not a Drewski skit, is creating a racial slur for an entire group of people and then spamming that racial slur. That's real bigotry. Yo, trust me, yo. I had to figure out what was humor and what was real.
Nah, this wasn't started by Samuel L. Jackson. Like, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson did say something like this, but what we seen with the FBA bozos is something completely different. But yeah, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't necessarily even talking about the problem of black British actors being in here. He was talking about white execs using them like the cause division to the cause problems or to get them to play. And I think he mentioned also about them playing roles in ways that maybe black people wouldn't want to in America. And they know they couldn't get a black person from America to do it. So they'll get a person from the UK to do it because they don't know no better. For example, the brother right now that we just talking about, he played Martin Luther King in a movie, right? And in the scene, he has in one of the scenes he has a speech. He has a scene with he's Martin Luther King. He's talking to Coretta Scott King, and they talking about the cheating. There's plenty of black actors who would have had a problem with that. And I'm like, why are you putting this in here? But mind you, as a black British actor, he probably thinks, well, this is history, this is true, and this is just a part of the story. So let me just say the role. So when I heard Samuel Jackson talking about British actors, I think that's what he was like getting to and alluding to. He wasn't talking about having a problem with them altogether. So that's how I see it. We could probably look into that later on. But that's how I interpreted it. I may be wrong because it's been a long time since that happened. It happened like damn near 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
I got a lot of pushback and a lot of backlash from my family, people from where I'm from, my community telling me, hey, bro, you doing interviews with this dude? What you doing, bro? He don't rock. I said, nah, it's humor, bro. Nah, bro, he don't hate immigrants, bro. It's humor. And boy, was I wrong. Was I wrong. Because, yo, I had my cousin Alvin say me something.
I'm happy you acknowledging you was wrong. That's the first step to recovery, acknowledging that there's a problem. And you should have listened to your family. When your family told you not to deal with Tariq Nasheed, you should have listened to them. You should have let them say, all right, you saying don't deal with him? Show me why I shouldn't deal with him. Not just blow it off and like, oh, those are just jokes.
Said, bro, it's just humor, right? Look at this. I said, hey, I can't make an excuse for that, bro. I just can't, man. I can't. I don't know, bro. So you got to be able to distinguish humor from bigotry. Drewski ain't no bigot, bro. Yo, bro, Drewski is a comedian, man. Trust me, I had to do the same thing, bro. Yo, there was somebody, and this is like an OG on YouTube, bro. Now, again, I'll never diss this person. I'll never disrespect this person. Like, I'll never say nothing bad about this person because, yo, this person really helped me out. They hopped on the phone with me, gave me a free consultation, walked me through how to build my channel, gave me like the systems, and I applied that to grow. So I would never, ever, ever say nothing bad about this person. I was just heartbroken and really, really, really hurt, bro. Because, again, like I don't know if this person helped me out before he found out I was African, or I don't know if he would help me if he knew I was African, but I watched a video where this person is essentially like going along with all the harmful rhetoric that this other guy has about people who's from where I'm from. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, they can't help that they were born here. They don't, like they don't choose who their parents are. They were born here, and they're trying to make a better life for themselves. And the fact,
I think he's talking about Oshay Duke Jackson right here. Yeah, I think this is the part he's talking about Oshay Duke Jackson.
that you're supporting this dude who's saying that those people don't have a right to have a business, to operate their business, and they need to be boycotted and shut down because somebody from the same country as them did something wrong is bad and is foul and is not cool. And is not cool and is not okay. And then, and the person that I have respect for said that that person is above critique. That person should never be questioned, should never be critiqued. And I'm like, damn, right is right and wrong is wrong, right? Like, if that person did something wrong, say what they did is wrong, right? Like, no human being is above critique at all, especially when it comes to something as harmful and hateful as what that person is doing. And that's the OG that I had love for. And to see him take that stance, it broke me and it hurt me, bro. Like, bro, like, it hurt me deep, homie. Like, I was hurt. And that was one of those things where I said, damn. Like, I guess, like you don't know people's hearts and people's feelings until you hear it. And to hear that, bro, it broke me, bro. Like it really hurt me deep down inside. But still in all, like, I still have to recognize who's a bigot and who's not. What's harmful and what's jokes. And in this situation, Drewski is not a harmful human being. He's not a bigot. It's just jokes. Treat it as jokes. Doing all of this for Drewski is crazy, right? Now, they continued, and this is where you kind of really get to see, like, the mistake they're making, is because they talked about, like, Tariq Nasheed and his crew, like the FBAs, and, like, they broke down, like, this critique that we're getting about, like, Black British actors and immigrant groups coming over here and taking roles, this is from that group. And I feel like that's the mistake. They're dismissing everything and all the valid critiques and all the fair criticism because they believe it's coming from Tariq Nasheed and his crew. And I'm here to tell them, no. The criticism is fair. Associating all criticism from Black Americans as coming from Tariq Nasheed and his crew of people is not cool. No. They have every right to.
I gotta speed you up because I feel like you patting the wrong time because like you're repeating yourself now.
Feel away. And it's not your job to be condescending or tell the offended party not to be offended. They are offended. Find out why they are offended and try to have a real conversation. But they completely dismiss it because they believe that Tariq Nasheed and his crew speaks for all Black Americans.
When you look at Black Panther, it is Chadwick and it is Michael B, but it's also Daniel Kaluuya and Letitia Wright.
That's right.
That's what it looks like when it goes supernova. Yeah. Ryan understands that. Ryan Coogler called me before he was about to make a Black Panther because he knew I had connection to the culture that he was about to show in his film. And he humbly asked advice because he needed me. I need him. Michael, the same. Like I was with Michael the other day. Those of us who get it, we are sharing in the way that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck and George Clooney and Brad Pitt. You think that success is based on them being silos? Absolutely not. They are sharing secrets. They are sharing strategy. They are sharing films with each other, which is what I try to do with Bass Reeves, bringing in people who are like, yeah, you don't know them, but I do.
No.
Now, if you are telling me that how dare I spend 10 years trying to get Bass Reeves made? How dare I bring Ava DuVernay to come in and direct Selma and get that from? If that's what you're saying, think about that for a moment. Just think about what may not exist if you don't have people who are, dare I say it, built different. Like Ava is built different. Coleman is built different. Ryan is built different. There are people, Idris Elba is built different in relation to actually getting stuff made. Now, if you're going to begrudge that, rather than go, let me reach out and figure out what are Nate and David doing over there, and how do we? What is this diaspora embracing notion that you guys are talking about, as opposed to me now beginning to internalize some kind of ridiculous what they call ADOS or whatever.
That's like foundational black.
But it proliferates.
Yeah, it does.
It proliferates. You look at what is happening with nationalism. You know the.
See, again, like I said, this is again. That's what make the ADOS, the FBA, all the bozos so dangerous. Because again, a lot of these people are not from America. They don't hang out in no black American people. All they know is what they see on social media. And the y'all bozos are very active on social media attacking other black people. This is how, and again, it allows this misconception to spread. This is why I do what I do to go at them so hard. Because again, y'all allow this misconception to spread and got people thinking that we hate them. We don't hate them at all.
Rise of the Reform Party in the UK. You look at why we have some of the political circumstances we have here in America. It starts like this. It starts with people feeling empowered and gathering around negativity that gives them some kind of identity.
And now when this hit the timeline, boy, yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. Yo, I gotta give it up to my black American brothers, man. Y'all gave them folks everything they asked for, man. Somebody says, is it not insecure to want to see ourselves and our icons depicted authentically? This man did not fit.
This person you reading is an FBA bozo. All these people are FBA. All these people are FBA. See, this is what I'm talking about. You just proved yourself wrong. You say, oh, this ain't all black. It ain't just black. It ain't just FBA. It's black Americans who don't like it too. The first comment you read is an FBA bozo who owes me like $500, by the way. I think this is her who bet me like what, $500. I couldn't name 5 things that black immigrants have done in America that's important or something like that.
The roles of MLK or Bass Reeves, that he should be able to receive that feedback like an adult. I agree, yo. Again, it's fair criticism. This is not hateful to say, hey, bro, you shouldn't play MLK. Like you aren't a black American. We want our people to play our heroes. These roles are sacred. Andrea Marie says, black American historical figures are the only roles his African behind can play that are noteworthy, and he wants to disrespect black Americans? Somebody.
See, again, you quote in a bunch of FBA bozos. Look, all these people you showing are FBA and ADOS and Freedmen. All of them.
He says, that's a poor response to the concerns of the people group he is portraying on film. And yes, the actors such as himself are worth discussing, but who is casting them instead of black Americans? We need to have that discussion. I agree. Again, bro, this is like 1.2 million views on this clip, and the entire clip is them just tearing him up. I'm talking about tearing him. Now, some of the comments I can't even read, right? So this is bad. Even if you go to the episode, like the Godfrey episode, they're on his behind. They're telling, bro, Godfrey, like, people are stunned at Godfrey because they're like, bro, Godfrey, you're somebody who we expect to give pushback on these type of issues.
Like, again, this is nonsense. Like, this is nonsense. This is, again, you're doing the thing that you said not to worry about. You're doing it. You're platforming these people. You're making it seem like they have some legitimate criticism, which they don't. They don't. There's nothing legitimate being said here. Shout out to everybody in the building. This is nonsense to the highest order. Nonsense to the highest order. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Somebody says David needs to make a film about how the WS Americans recently invaded and bombed Nigeria. Classic straw man, red herring. I think he's missing a point. So people are very upset and over the.
No, nobody's missing no point. First of all, this is like, again, somebody just said it. Poetik but Flakko was trying to play both sides of the fence. And that's what he was doing before with Tariq Nasheed, trying to play both sides of the fence. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. This is a non-issue. Again, the reason why we know this is nonsense and it's a non-issue is because of the whole history of black acting. First of all, who is the black actor who established black acting as something legitimate and serious and noteworthy? Cindy Poitier. Cindy Poitier is from the Caribbean. Who is the female version of Cindy Poitier? Cece Tyson, also from the Caribbean. Every black actor is walking in his and her shadow. Every one of them. If you ever play a non-coon role, a non-degenerate black role, you are walking in their shadow. Where was this for Cindy Poitier? Cindy Poitier is literally one of the most important black men in the history of this country. Cece Tyson is one of the most important black women in the history of this country. Those two are the most important two black people when it comes to acting in this country. If it was really a problem and this thing was real, then why nobody said nothing about them? Why nobody said nothing about them? That's why we know this is fake and this is made up. This is fake and this is made up. It's not even worth addressing. It's stupid. And it's like, and it's again, it's a lot of things people being uncomfortable with the fact that they don't got it. The British actors are better, period. There's not a new black actor in like the last 10 years who could, from America, born and raised, trained in America, who can like outact one of the British actors. I haven't seen it. Like again, a lot of the people who are choosing the British actors are black people themselves. Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay, Oprah, I think it what's her name? I forgot her name. The black lady who did the One Night in Miami or whatever when they had Martin Luther King and I forgot her. These people are the ones choosing the black actors. Remember, Denzel sent Chadwick Boseman to the UK. He didn't send him nowhere in America. He sent him to the UK. It's like y'all keep, that's why this is fake. This is fake. Y'all making it seem like this is some ancient thing that we always did, and now there's some Illuminati shots to your body conspiracy to take this away from us. When that never was the case. Never. Oh, Carlette, I didn't know that. Oh, see, Carlette, you connected. You connected for real. Thank you, RBG, for the rip win. Regina King. Again, this is why this thing is so, this is made up. This is made up. This is not real. Talking about, oh, we want to see ourselves portrayed by ourselves. Since when? When did that happen? Inquiring minds want to know. No, like inquiring minds want to know. Yes, he has a huge FBA audience. That's why he plays both sides of the fence like that. He has a huge FBA audience. Huge. Yeah, I think Slick Rick parents is Jamaican. They from the UK too. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is not a thing. You have black people from the UK coming over here doing stuff going back to the Harlem Renaissance. When has this ever been a thing? This is not a thing. And you had black people from America going to the UK doing things too. You do know it was a time when, if I'm not mistaken, it was a time where a lot of the black actors in the UK were black people from America. They were bringing black actors from America to the UK because the black actors were better trained in America and they were better actors. The black people in the UK stepped their game up. Now they the better actors. It is what it is. They the better actors.
This clip, and I agree, they have every reason to be upset because you have to find a way to distinguish between fair criticism and true bigotry. And this is fair criticism. People being upset that you are playing MLK should not make you. You should be able to address it like a real adult. But let me know in the comment section what do you guys think about this. Okay, if you're still watching this.
Yeah, Poetik Flakko, this was not a good video. I'm not even gonna hold you. What time is it? I think we got one time for one more video. Let's do Oshay going at Poetik Flakko. We got time for one more video.
a.m. this morning, and I'm out for my walk.
Yeah, we got time for one more video. I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe he gonna play both sides of the field like that. I mean, both sides of the fence like that.
Because you know.
Wait, but let me start this over. For all you who don't know, we watched Poetik Flakko throw shots at Oshay. We know that he was throwing shots at Oshay, and this is Oshay responding. Shout out to everybody in the building.
It's about 11 a.m. this morning, and I'm out for my walk because you know I'm fat and trying to lose this weight. And all of a sudden, I get a message from one of my YouTube partners, and it says, I think Flakko alluded to you around the midpoint of this video. And then I said, what did he say exactly? I haven't talked to Poetik Flakko in a minute. I mean, like, I don't have no problem with him or anything like that. He's a nice guy. I think he's an elite commentator in what he's doing. So we would not really have any problems. And to be honest, this video that he did was actually very, very good. It was called Godfrey Loses All of His Fans After Betraying Black Americans in New Pot. I thought it was a fair video.
A real bigotry is saying that an entire group of people shouldn't be able to make a living and feed their families and start a business, and they want those businesses shut down because they belong to an immigrant group. That's real bigotry. That's wrong. Real bigotry, not a Drewski skin, is creating a racial slur for an entire group of people and then spamming that racial slur.
I said, uh-oh, I'm hearing bigotry allegations. The point that he's trying to make here is that there is a difference between criticism and bigotry. And people who are using the term like tether, some of the people in the hashtag FBA community on X use that term, but he accuses somebody of just wanting businesses shut down simply because they belong to an immigrant group. So I was like, that can't be me, right? And then,
there was somebody, and this is like an OG on YouTube, bruh. Now, again, I'll never diss this person. I'll never disrespect this person. Like, I'll never say nothing bad about this person because this person really helped me out. They hopped on the phone with me, gave me a free consultation, walked me through how to build my channel, gave me like the systems, and I applied that to grow. So I would never, ever, ever say nothing bad about this person. I'll just
again, stop being stupid, Oshay. You know for a fact that Poetik Flakko is what he's talking about is the African hair braider boycott that Tariq and all the other bozos was calling for. Stop making it seem like, maybe some people who call themselves FBA may use the term tether and the boycott. I don't know who would call for a boycott of a whole group of people. Like, you such a disingenuous bozo.
Heartbroken and really, really, really hurt, bro. Because again, like I don't know if this person helped me out before he found out I was African.
Okay, now I know who he's talking about. And he's definitely talking about me. So guys, let me just say this. I don't like to really toot my horn because I've helped a lot of content creators. Many you know, a lot of folks you don't know about. But Poetik Flakko was probably the latest one, that I kind of gave a strategy to, which is what he used to kind of blow up. He's a better commentator and a better content creator than me now. And that is absolutely the truth. And I'm very proud of his work ethic. I never asked anything from him. I never want to even really mention this or anything like that. But I want to prove to you that he is talking about me. And here's our Instagram DMs. Now I'm not going to go into all of it. So just so you know that this is about me, okay? He says on May 20th, Big Dog Oshay, thanks for the advice a year ago, bro. I'm for sure gearing up to move to Liberia and just do YouTube from there and stack up. Okay, so let's kind of get into this idea of that I didn't know he was African.
Come on. Why are you even showing these DMs, man? You a bozo for that. Like, come on, man. Like, you showing his bozo, his DMs, you putting his business out there. How do you know he wanted people to know he moving back to Liberia? Like, come on, Oshay. Come on. You got to do better than that, homie.
So if you see here, he's talking about moving to Liberia, which means that I already knew that he was Liberian.
What do you mean? How does that prove you already knew he was Liberian? He just said he was moving back to Liberia. He didn't say he was Liberian, but hey, maybe I got that wrong. Matter of fact, let me bring that back a little bit. Let's read that DM. Yeah, he just said he moving to Liberia. It's a lot of black people who move to Liberia. That doesn't mean they Liberians.
He was African. So if you see here, he's talking about moving to Liberia, which means that I already knew that he was Liberian, and maybe he forgot.
Exactly. A Russian Dima, the one who do all his editing, yeah, he helped you. Helped you a lot. Thank you, Fahima. Yes, like, again, these bozos, it got to stop.
We talked about this on the phone, but I have interviewed many people from Liberia. Let's talk about Roida Ure, okay? I've talked to her before. On my Kinganda channel, I've interviewed Zawadi M, okay, from Liberia. So this whole idea.
So what, Oshay? Nobody cares about who you interview. You're rolling with a bigot right now. You're pushing bigotry right now. Who cares what you did in the past? You don't get no pass for this. Like you want a pass for being a bigot. Like, oh, well, back in the days, I did some things for some African people. And Poetik Flakko has a right to feel that way. That, dag, I don't know if he knew if I was African or not, because if he did, he probably wouldn't even help me because of the way you've been talking about Africans lately and the way you've been meat riding Tariq. If I was Poetik Flakko, I would be thinking the same thing too.
Of that Oshay doesn't work with you if he knows that you're African, you know, it's asinine, right? And I'm not trying to say that he's lying about this because Poetik Flakko is putting out so much content so fast and it's kind of unscripted. Maybe he forgets. And again, it's been a long time ago, but this is simply not true. And I have some other proof.
And you know who did the magic? A big shout out to my brother, Oshay Duke Jackson. He said, hey, Maya, you told me to come to Uganda, but I know what happened to you. I'm telling you that the people of Uganda are way better than what happened at the airport. So my brother, I'm buying your wife and you a ticket to Uganda. Look at this guy, man. Look at this guy.
None of this stuff excuses any of your current behavior, Oshay Duke Jackson. I don't know why y'all think that is the case. This is like Tariq trying to excuse all the stuff he's doing right now with the fact that he made Hidden Colors 1. Who cares? We be talking about what you doing now. Nobody care about what you doing, what you did for an individual. Nobody cares about any of that. We talking about the here and now. Bozo. Like, I can't believe this. Like you really trying to pull this stunt? Yes. And also, again, shout out to Cindy Portier.
Oh, shit.
Everybody from the Bahamas.
Jackson. Can I have a big round of applause to my brother, Oshay Duke Jackson?
So guys, if you don't know who that dude is, this is Wody Maya. Okay, at one time, this was a really, really close friends of mine. We don't really talk as much anymore. He's my brother. People go through things in life. And I brought him to Uganda out of my own money. Him, Miss Trudy, his whole staff, I paid for that in 2023. He was deported from Uganda even the first time he came, right? I never really put this out there like he did so much, but he put it out there. He wanted his audience to know something about me. And then
he was the one who paid for my tickets to come to Uganda. And even when I came to Uganda, my wife pulled up a surprise birthday party in Uganda, and Oshay Duke Jackson paid for everything.
His surprise birthday party, I paid for it. I didn't put that out there. He put it out there. The same thing with Poetik Flakko. I didn't put that information out there. He put it out there. And the reason why I don't feel like I need to take credit for what Poetik Flakko has done is because he's a good brother. I want him to be successful, and he don't owe me anything. He really don't. And I'm proud of the brother. Same thing with Wody Maya. He said I mentored him to a certain degree, helped him out a little bit, but it was his work ethic. He did it on his own. And yeah, if I could.
Oshay's point is that he's not really anti-African because look, he done help some Africans get money, even though he's literally sitting around pushing FBA nonsense all day and night and meat riding Tariq Nasheed.
Help, I'm glad, but you know what? I'm proud of both of them, okay? And then there's this.
I want to give you a job, be the host of the Pan-African Dating Show. And I'm like, what? I think most of you know the Pan-African Dating Show. I start hosting the Pan-African Dating Show. This person says, I want you to leave your place where you are living, so you come to an apartment. What? You know, as a woman, a young woman, you know me, I have issues with men. Never received any care from a man. I don't know my father. And I know any person who is a man who shows any care towards me, they just want to sleep with me. And that's on period. So that's what I thought. This person buys me a laptop. This person like pays for my transport, pays for my food, he pays for my accommodation, and he still pays my salary. And this person wants nothing from me. He's literally just like a father figure.
So if you guys know about my other channel called the Pan-African Dating Show, here's a young lady by the name of Esther Nadakunda. This was January 1st, 2026. She made this video about your boy. And she was basically saying I was a father figure to her. Now, the reason why I'm coming with this many receipts to kind of prove myself is because Poetik Flakko is acting like I wouldn't help him if he was African when we talked about this on the phone, that he was trying.
Again, how does he know? It's again, he didn't say that you wouldn't. He was like he felt like that because again, you pushing all this bigotry. Like, what is the difference between what you're doing right now? I'm pretty sure Tariq Nasheed can do this because I've seen him do it before. When people call him out for being a bigot, he starts showing how he done did things for individuals. Or call him out for being a fraud. He just points out how he did things for individuals. What is the difference?
Trying to get to Liberia. I wanted him to help get back to Liberia. We talked about the Ure family, who was prominent in Liberia, who are Americo-Liberian. And then also, you know what the biggest issue is with his statement? I live in Uganda. I've brought so many people to Uganda. Jonita on the Kingana podcast is Ugandan. So many people that I work with are African. I work in the Pan-African space. I have the largest repat podcast on the planet. I don't even really advertise it over here. So I don't know who he's talking about. And like I said, I largely think that he just probably forgot about this or he was just really biased himself. But then again, he will continue.
Because it can like I don't know if this person helped me out before he found out I was African, or I don't know if he would help me if he knew I was African. But I watch a video where this person is essentially like going along with all the harmful rhetoric that this other guy has about people who's from where I'm from. And I'm like, damn, bro, like, they can't help that.
Exactly. Poetic. So all the stuff, the receipts you was showing to disprove Poetik Flakko means nothing. He just explained why he felt the way he felt. Come on, Oshay.
They were born here. They don't like they don't choose who their parents are. They were born here and they're trying to make a better life for themselves. And the fact that you're supporting this dude who's saying that those people don't have a right to have a business, to operate their business, and they need to be boycotted and shut down because somebody from the same country as them did something wrong is bad and it's foul and it's not cool.
So basically, he's saying, I just want somebody to be boycotted and don't have a right to have a business or operate their business, and they need to be boycotted because they did something.
Shout out to Kanguru. You are right. You are right. Like this is the same thing. I can't be racist. I have black friends, and I gave one of them a ride one day. They didn't have a ride, and I gave them a ride, and I gave them some money. So how could I possibly be racist? Come on now.
Wrong. Now, I mean, I don't know. He probably mad at me right now. He didn't have a clip that he could really pull that I'm saying this about Africans. But okay, I did make some videos about the African boycotts, and it was black women complaining about stuff like this.
I ain't got time to be driving 5 hours to go to the city I was born in to get my hair done. I don't think nobody up here gonna do it. And the Africans, they're not pulling my hair out.
And yeah.
All right, let me start out by saying if the background looks familiar, then please do not tag or mention them because I'm not trying to bash nobody's business. But I had a terrible experience there. And when I say I got my ass up and I went over to Cunty Hair Braiding on Instagram, baby. Now you see how packed it was. It was very packed in there. But girl, they got right to it. The braider, Sally, she even gave me some food. Y'all, she ate them braids up.
And to even make things worse, here's an African lady complaining about African braid shops.
It's been almost a week, so I'm finally ready to tell you guys about those.
Come on, Oshay. This was not people just complaining about an experience. The boycott was calling for specifically to boycott African businesses based on a skit video. So all these other videos you showing don't mean anything. It don't mean anything. It don't mean anything. And again, that's no justification. Just because you can show videos of certain black women complaining about their experiences at these braiding shops does not justify calling for a boycott of all braiding shops. You could go online all day and find black people complaining about Arab businesses, white businesses, Asian businesses, Indian businesses. The list goes on. You have never, or none of you other FBA bozos have ever called for a universal ban on all their businesses. Y'all have not done that. The closest thing to that is when people was calling for a ban on Asian businesses. And again, that wasn't even you FBA bozos calling for that. That was other black people calling for that. Y'all never went, the way y'all went hard for this African hair braider boycott, y'all never went that hard for any other boycott or calling for any other boycott. Like, come on now. Exactly, Lee. That's all he does now. That's all he does is attack Africans all day long.
Worst braiding experience I've ever had in LA by an African braider. And the fact that she's African is very important because so am I. So let me get into that. So this is a hair salon, Isata hair salon braiding, whatever. And honestly, I should have known better from those 2.1 stars. But I was just like, you know, it's an African auntie. Sometimes they're a lot different from these American braiders. They have different ways of communicating. And I can see why someone can give them a low review. But I'm like, let me just trust them.
Now, the reason why I showed those in succession is because this was the reason for why a lot of Black Americans were talking about boycotting African.
That's not true, Oshay. You are a liar. You are a liar. That's not why. It was about a fake video. It was a fake video. And again, you can find 1,000 times more videos than that of people complaining about Asian businesses and been doing it for years. Y'all ain't never called for a universal boycott of Asian businesses or Arab businesses or Indian businesses. Never. Or white businesses. You ain't never do that.
Because of the lack of service and the entitlement of behavior. Now, what Poetik Flakko is addressing is they have the right to be a business. You're just trying to paint them with a broad brush because they're African, instead of addressing the argument. And the argument is that a lot of African businesses, whether they're in Africa or in America, have a problem with customer service, not even with just Blacks, but with their own.
One, that's not true. And I don't know why you got ancient intel like you just a bozo. That's not true. And two, again, not true. Like, what are you talking about? Boycotting the African stores because they was like, what? Leeching off the economy? Y'all always call people leeches. It's always the people who ain't got nothing calling other people leeches. I know you don't own a business, ancient intel. Y'all always call the people who contribute nothing to the Black community are the first ones to call somebody a leech. You can't make this up. Y'all the first ones to call people a leech. I can just tell by your YouTube handle and the way you type this comment, you effectively stopped learning in the 3rd grade and you didn't make it out the 9th grade. But you're calling somebody else who owns a business a leech. Somebody who owns a business and providing a service that people in the community want and pay for day in, day out is somehow a leech. You can't make that up, bro. Nah, he was not. No. If ancient intel was being was doing that, was being sarcastic, I apologize. But it didn't look like that. It didn't look like that. Yeah, see, it's not that. Look, he come back. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. Gotta time you out. We can't keep hearing this. I can't. Shout out to President Jafar for coming through with the 2. I think that was a skit too. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I heard about it, but I heard that was a skit too of somebody calling ICE to a Jerk's chicken spot.
Own groups. In fact, you hear it more with their own groups. I see it all the time when I hear about folks in America. I used to live in the East Coast. It was a problem then. So the whole idea is that if you're not going to provide quality service, you don't need to be in business. And see, for people that are like Poetik Flakko, they're Liberian or they're from another place and they come into American. While you're an American citizen, you got to remember, you are still a minority amongst the Blacks. So now when people deal with you, you got to have some level of value. And that's what I'm talking about. Because when I live in Uganda or when I go across Kenya or wherever it is in the community that I be across, I got to give value to people. I got to operate in the right way. I got to pay my way. I got to respect people. Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble. And when I talk about the fact that when Black Americans deal with Africans, it's more one-sided than anything. And again, he already admitted that I helped him, didn't ask for anything. But if we really want to talk about it, if you want to ask Poetik Flakko for some help right now, he gonna charge you. It ain't like he doing it for free or anything. The real problem is he took a bigoted perspective because he is African and because he doesn't like some of the things that I'm saying. So what he actually did was paint me with a broad brush instead of listening to what I was saying. I never.
Come on, Oshay. We was listening to what you were saying. Shout out to one ready to go for the jewels. Make sure you comment ready one to go. so I can make sure I ping your comment and I can save it to give you a shout out for later. But thank you. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you for all the support I'm receiving. Yep. See, I told y'all. Like, yeah, the guy's a bozo. Exactly.
Said that Africans should be boycotted, and I never said that because somebody's African they need to be canceled. I just showed plenty of evidence that I've done a lot to help the Pan-African space or help.
Oshay, stop it. Again, you were supporting Tariq and the others when they was calling for the boycott. So again, he is rightfully so to attack you. You showing that you helped an African here and an African there. This is literally what white supremacists do. They tried to what's the guy name from the Clippers who was talking crazy? Didn't he get an NAACP image award? And he tried to hide behind that, even though he got caught talking racist and talking crazy.
Africans in general, including him. And he told me he's from Liberia. I knew he was from Liberia before we ever got on the call because I used to watch No Jumper, and it was clear that Poetik Flakko was not a Black American. And I knew that because you lived in North Dakota. But again, I'm not going to call the brother a liar. Like I said, he's busy, and that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't heard from him. And he don't owe me nothing. Again, he's a better commentator than me.
Yes, Daniel Sterling. Yes, thank you. Daniel. I said Daniel. Donald Sterling. Oh, it's getting late. Ooh, it's supposed to be 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, this got to be it. This got to be it for the night. Oh, you say you spit on Africans? Well, I can ban you now. We don't allow nobody to talk like that about Africans here. Sorry. You probably think you're a Native American too. And I'm pretty sure if you went to one of their reservations, they would spit on you. That's the least they would do.
He's more successful right now on YouTube than I am, and I don't want nothing but the best for him. But the one problem about a person like Poetik Flakko is that you fail to see things largely from somebody else's perspective, and that's what a bigot does. A bigot believes what they believe, and then what they do is deny somebody else's experience. So you never asked, why do those Black Americans want business to be boycotted? Your response was, well, see, it's not fair that a couple businesses made mistakes, then it affects the larger group. Let me tell you something here in Uganda. If I make a mistake as a Black American, the larger group pays the penalty. This is the same thing that's happening right now. If you go and look at what's going on in South Africa, a few migrants can literally ruin it for everybody. This is the same case with, you can see some brothers from Nigeria having issues. Zimbabwe, I was in Poland. That was the case there. A few mess it up for all. And then look at the Somalis. Same thing. A few, or at least what we leave, let's say, assume it's a few, mess it up for a lot. And instead of focusing on the few and why are you not giving good services in your business, it seems like what he wants to be able to do is, hey, y'all can do whatever y'all want in business, and then you should accept it because we all Black and we got all the same oppressor.
Yep, exactly. Phil Scott, all of them was calling for that boycott, and they was true to it. Now Oshay is trying to justify. He just went from not calling for the boycott to now justifying calling being a part of the boycott by saying, well, yeah, it wasn't all of them, but it was some of them. Exactly. I don't know what Oshay is. I know he's a bozo. Fahima, I do not know what's wrong with these people. These people are insane. They are insane. Oh, Lee, I saw the video you sent me. I was gonna try to get to it today, see if I had time, but we ain't have time. But I'll definitely get to it tomorrow. Yeah. I thought so. Oshay was not African. Oh, shout out to Lee D. Clinton for coming through with the 20. Yeah, I am banning them. Once I see certain stuff, they out of here. I'm not playing with nobody. Once you threaten somebody or start going crazy, if you asking a question, cool. Because sometimes somebody could ask a question and they well-meaning, but it could come off the wrong way. But all that other stuff about I spit on Africans, all that, yeah, you out of here. You out of here. I don't play with people like that.
And now when people want to start delineating like Black Americans or South Africans, now all of a sudden you're a bigot or, you're using racist terms or let's just throw everybody in the same bucket. And I don't think that Poetik Flakko is a bad person. I think he's a great guy. I mean, I think he's trying to be fair in his commentary in certain things, but he is African, he is Liberian, and he's going to take offense to certain things that I say. And some of those things he may paint it with a broad brush without the evidence. Maybe he thought I said it, maybe he didn't. I love the brother. I want him to continue doing better. As I've already said, he's a better commentator than I am. However, it doesn't change the fact that what he's accusing me of, I never directly said. All I ask for is parity. Black Americans and Africans will not deal with each other when it's one-sided or there is no quality. Again, he could come to me as a Black American and I could give him the stuff for the free. You want to know how many Africans do that for me? None. What Africans step in and just really, for the most part, help me in this space or help me in general in Uganda or anywhere? Zero. It never happens for the most part. You got to pay everybody to get something. And that's my kind of criticism. Largely, you know, there's no real brotherhood in some of this. And when I'm pointing this out, I don't know why people have a hard time addressing that. But again, like I said, I don't want to call him a liar. I think he probably just forgot. That's what it was. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Oshay Jackson, back at it again.
Oshay, you're the liar. You're the bozo. Nobody should support you. You should be removed from Uganda immediately. You need to be sent back to America so you can go do all that stuff you claim you're doing for Uganda. Go do that for your FBAs. FBA needs your support. You need to do that for FBA. You need to do that for FBA. Shout out to RBG for the win for the 199. Whole lot of ones beat a whole lot of nuns any day of the week. Shout out to everybody in the building. Family, yeah, we about to leave. We're about to end it tonight. I'm about to end it tonight because it's 2 a.m. I promise tomorrow's June. Oh, today is Juneteenth. Shout out to everybody. Today's Juneteenth. So if I do stream, I'm going to try to do it as early as possible. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. But yeah, we got to like end this show right now. So I want to say first, I want to shout out to the brother who sent me a Cash App. Again, I said if you want to be seen or you want me to mention you by name or the amount, say it in the comments. You didn't say anything, so I'm just going to shout you out. Thank you for that Cash App. Shout out to Justin March, my first moderator, for coming through with gifting 5 memberships. Family, if Justin March gifted you a membership, make sure you thank him and you keep it going. And you can get your own membership too. Hit that join button. Shout out to Miss C. Payne for the $19.99. Miss C. Payne also became a member on her own yesterday. So salute. Thank you for that. A pimp named Slickback came through with the 5. Kanguru came through with the $4.99. Kanguru came through again with another $4.99. Am I saying your name right? Is it Kanguru or I'm getting that wrong? I need to know. Shout out to President Jafar for coming through with the 2. Shout out to Ready to Go for all the jewels you sent. Much appreciated. I think it was jewels or gold coins. I think you sent like 4 of them or something like that. Thank you. Much appreciated. Shout out to Lee D. Clinton for coming through with the 20. Shout out to RBG for the win for coming through with the $1.99. Much appreciated. Thank you, family. Thanks, everybody who showed up tonight. Thank you for all your support. Everybody who dropped the fire emoji, thank you for that support. If you hit the like button, thank you for that support. If you shared the stream, thank you for that support. If you even dropped a comment, thank you for that support. If you watched the stream without dropping a comment, thank you for that support. All support is good support. If you hit that reaction heart, thank you for that support. So, but yeah, I'm going to end this stream here. Make sure y'all subscribe to my second channel because I'm uploading videos over there because there's a lot of videos that I'm uploading that's like getting restricted on this channel. But I'm gonna upload them on my second channel because not too many people know about that. So it's not gonna get flagged down over there. So yeah, go subscribe to my second channel right here, Prince No Face Killer, and subscribe to this channel if you didn't subscribe. And on that note, family, peace. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, all that good stuff.